What is going, everybody? Nathan coming at you with a not almost any ability video. Instead, we're going to be talking about abilities in general. This is a video I've been kicking around for the longest time, but never had the time or someone willing to sit through it with me here today. We're going to be ranking every single ability in competitive Pokemon singles. Joining me today is the illustrious 2022 best discussion sparker, hardest worker, best leader, as voted by the Smoke on Forums. We got Finchinator here. How you doing, man?
I'm just doing swell, man. Thank you so much for what might be the best introduction I've ever received in my life. It's Finch here, guys. Really excited to be here with Nathan discussing all of these abilities and probably a couple interludes to trash talk each other as well along the way.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And congrats on raising that almost $3,000 last night. So I know you're pretty tired. I'm hoping this video won't drag on too long, but
I'm really feeling it now. I'm in my stride.
He's fired up. Okay, I got it. If you ever start to lose energy
yeah.
halfway through, I'll just start reading off more of your accolades, and that will keep you back in. So
we got the back of the baseball card on copy paste.
Okay, yeah. So we were talking about this a little bit before I pressed record here, but pretty much we're talking about ranking abilities, and the ultimate question is, of course, do you consider it in a vacuum or not? Do we talk about an ability like Wonder Guard, which is probably the best ability in Pokemon, but it's on one of the worst Pokemon objectively? How do you talk about Levitate? Because if it's on Heatran, it's much more useful than it's on a Grass-type Pokemon or what have you, right? So we've gone back and forth on this. We might value things based on distribution a little bit, but I think by and large, we're going to have to treat it in a vacuum because it's just way too hard otherwise, right?
Yeah, and you gave an example earlier. I'm basically going to quote you, and you said, like, if there was a new Pokemon that was released and all you knew about it was the ability, you know, what would you think of it? What would your first impression be? So, obviously, distribution kind of shapes how we perceive these abilities. Like, download seemed a lot better once it came on a Pokemon like Genesect as composed to Porygon 2, for example, but also we can kind of give it that little eye test, that Nathan test. What would it perceived as on a novel Pokemon? And that can help lead us the way.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if we hear that a new Pokemon's come out has Unnerve, we go, okay. I mean, first thing, who really cares? But if you hear that it's got Regenerator, you go, oh shit, this thing is, we got to keep an eye on.
Oh shit, a win for Big Stall.
Yeah, exactly, Big Stall. Okay, so we got enough time here. We're gonna start with a big one here, Adaptability. I consider it one of the better offensive abilities in Pokemon. Again, you know, context matters a little bit. Depends what stabs you have. But I am, and we're gonna have to establish these tiers a little bit as we go, I feel like. But I'm in the belief it should be at least A or S. Like this is definitely up there in my opinion.
So yeah, I mean, right now, because we're probably gonna do a little reshaping,
for sure.
Context doesn't lend us any favors, but in terms of offensive abilities, this is probably a top 10 to 15 ability of all time. The Pokemon that gets it are really potent as well. I would say S preemptively, and if we have to dip it to A just because S gets too bloated or A is too little, which I don't think would be the case, then that's fine. My guess is it's going to end up in low to mid S, though. I would definitely say S to start.
Yeah, my general thinking right now is that A is just like very, very good. We're talking about an extremely good ability like a Corrosion or something like that. Whereas S is like genuinely like you talk about a Pokemon, and one of the first things you mention is its ability because it's that like meta shaping. In a similar sense, we got Aerolate here, which I think is probably a little bit higher, honestly.
So yeah, the new abilities like Aerolate and Pixelate, I think are actually in the same like vicinity as Adaptability. I think that because of how common normal type moves are, they are just a tad better though, because it's just more practical. So I'd say like very close, but slightly ahead.
Yeah, and again, it depends. If you're gaining stab, like if a Pokemon like Tauros gets Aerolate, you probably don't care as much as a Pokemon like Dragonite, but it's still unbelievable. And also, I should mention now as a precursor, of course, I'm really well known for almost any ability as a format. We're not really talking about like what's the best. This isn't a tier list for almost any ability things because that's a whole different thing. For example, Mold Breaker would be considered excellent or in that tier, or Neutralizing Gas would be considered absolutely excellent because the power creep, so to speak, of the abilities is so outrageous. But here we're just talking about
negating other abilities when the focus is on abilities. But in singles play, while they're still good, they aren't like defining.
Yeah, so this isn't really in almost any ability tier list, if that makes sense. We're talking about just a standardized singles thing.
Yeah, but if you play almost any ability, you might find it interesting if you like that concept. But
yeah,
of course,
as a theory crafting for sure. Aftermath is an interesting one. Damages the attacker after landing the finishing hit. Not many great Pokemon get it, but I think it's solid. I think it's something you're glad to have.
I think this is the epitome of an ability that I put in B. Yeah, you're right there. And
Jinx,
it was really great on things like Garbodor and Skuntank in Never Used. But the
Yeah,
thing is that it only came into play if you tailored it, and they ran things like Rocky Helmet to pair it and kind of help that out. But it still could only do so much, and the distribution is limited, so it's hard to really say, oh, if this was on a top wall, how would it matter? But a lot of walls, the point is to not die. So
yeah.
it kind of.
I would love to see it on a more interesting like pivot Pokemon, and you can come in as like use it as a really potent sack.
Imagine it on like
really
a
cool.
suicide like rocker. Like imagine it on Landorus
Yeah.
T. Obviously, Landorus T wants Intimidate, but yeah, like hypothetically speaking.
Or I'm
So
thinking
that's
of,
why I
like-
could see it being more B than C.
I'm thinking of like two hyper offense leads come up against each other, and you get to the sash on one. And the aftermath triggers after that. That'd be so cool. But we gotta keep moving. We can't be spending too much time on every one here. Airlock is interesting because it's strictly anti-meta once again here. It's pretty situational. I think if we're doing C as a situational tier,
Yeah,
I'm leaning
I'd
towards
say
that.
C, but it's closer to B than D, if you will.
Yeah, we might have to introduce a C plus tier at some point.
I mean, we could always regroup as we go on. I definitely think C for now, just because it's something that'll come into play every now and then, not every game. Aftermath can come into play every game.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of add this as we go. I think C is situational, B solid, and S
God tier.
excellent. Yeah, God tier. Have what you will. Analytic is another one I love. I think it's so cool. It's too bad that abilities like Magna Pull are so great on Magnezone because it's such an awesome ability to have. I'm thinking like high B, low A. Where are you at?
I'm gonna say for now, I'd put it in B because it is more situational. It requires attacking second. So a lot of Pokemon that are more offensively oriented are not necessarily as bulky.
Yeah.
So on something like Starmie, it really only works when you force a switch, which you can do with coverage, but it's tough. Also, don't sleep on Analytic Choice Specs Magnezone and Scarlet and Wild overused. Loki is a good Pokemon.
I love any specs analytic mon. It's so sick.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say high B, and if A is not bloated later, we could rediscuss.
And then next we got Anger Point, which is Max's attack after taking a critical hit. I think this is the epitome of like maybe it's situational, maybe low C, high D. D is what I'm thinking.
It's below Airlock, but it's above being like useless, basically. So I'd say high D for now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna add 2 tiers below right now just to get ahead of this.
So we can have like an F and then a parentheses like useless, if you will, like the Runaways of the world.
So F is gonna be useless, yeah, like ball fetch, shit like that. And D is like it's technically better than useless, but it's so situational it rarely comes into
situational, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a single word for that, so you're better than useless. Okay, that's a good way to put it.
It's kind of
awkward.
There we go. Okay, Anger Shell is I don't have a lot of experience with this ability. I'll be interested to see what you say, but I'm thinking again.
The thing
like,
with Anger Shell is that it's kind of like a quasi Shell Smash, and only Cloth gets it thus far. In truth be told, it's only using Regenerator in any or not Anger Shell. So it basically lowers your defensive stats in turn for boosting attacking stats and speed stats when your HP goes below 50. So it's kind of like a weird play on Archops, almost like flip-flopping, if you will.
Yeah.
Offensively. But the thing is that it doesn't have much. It's kind of an unknown. Right now, since it requires you being under half, and it does lower your defenses, I'd say probably more so C, but it does potential to be B for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking low B, like a C plus.
I'd say like right in front of Airlock for me.
Yeah,
but definitely go after me.
Next we got Anticipation. Definitely an interesting one. Like, you know, you can sense dangerous moves. It can give you an idea of coverage. I think it's the epitome of situational too, where the situations where you go, oh wow, that really saved my ass. I had no idea that this Dragapult I'm up against would have Sucker Punch, but now I know, and now I can play around that. But for the most part, I think it's probably not going to be useful in your average game.
Yeah, I would say this is more so something that I'd say is D.
D, okay.
I could see maybe low C, but
I want to bump it up to low C. We might change that down the road.
That's fair. It's just I haven't really used anything that has Anticipation ever, honestly. Maybe that's just me being a slacker. But it's like I can't really picture it being as useful. I guess
I'm thinking
also
of like
because
if Corviknight had it, I'm thinking, and you could get some intel on, oh man, Anticipation triggered against this Garchomp. He must have Fire Blast. Like I could totally see it being useful in that situation.
Can I counter that actually?
Go ahead.
I think it depends on who the player is. Because if I'm like Finchinator and I've tried hard Pokemon for 12 years, I'm gonna know what shit uses for the most part. But if I'm Charizard fan 9069 then I might not have a clue that these Pokemon even learn these moves or use them commonly, and then anticipation might help me even more. So
Yeah,
I think that C might be more accurate, and I'm just a little biased against it.
that's fair. I mean, I think it's just like on lesser seen sets is more what I was alluding to, but I think I do catch your meaning.
Yeah, it kind of goes both ways. So I think C's fine. You're right.
I think C's fine. We could bump it down again. We're going to say this a lot, but we'll see how things continue to shake out.
Speaking of abilities that are very high, this is hands down the best ability thus far, Arena Trap.
I'm tempted to add a tier above.
Broken.
Go, yeah, literally broken. Yeah. Oh wait, I screwed it up. Yeah, I'm thinking like literally, game breaking.
Tier that makes Finch get angry when he sleeps at night.
Yeah, Arena Trap. I agree. I would rather have Magic Guard or Wonder Guard. I keep screwing that up. I would rather Wonder Guard get a ton of proliferation than Arena Trap. Man, that's an annoying one. Okay, next up we got Armor Tail, which prevents opponents from using priority moves, so same as Dazzling or something to that effect. This seems like situational for me. This is another great example of an almost any ability.
C, maybe a little ahead of anticipation. I don't know. Maybe around Anger Shell. I don't know before, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tier dependent. In some tiers, you're going to see more priority than others. Once again, almost any ability that's extremely important when you have so many extreme speed mons running around. But in like your average OU game, I don't know if there's anything enough that you like super need it. So
I mean, you're seeing a lot of King Gambit right now. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah.
Okay, next we have Aroma Veil here, which prevents allies from attacks that limit their move choices. This is one of those things where there's going to be a lot of doubles abilities that are going to come into effect here. We're talking about singles, so it's just de facto going to be useless here.
Unfortunately, it plays no role here. Obviously, in formats you guys may play, it does, but not in this conversation.
Then we have As 1, which is combined Unnerve, Meh, but Chilling Neigh and Grim Neigh. So we have kind of both here for As 1 because there's different As 1s depending on which form you get. But we'll just treat it as one. It's essentially Moxie or Soul Heart plus, or Beast Boost would be a better way to put it, plus Unnerve.
Yeah.
I'm thinking A. Where do you sit on that? Like just really solid, really good?
I mean, I'd probably put Moxie in A, and I don't think this moves the needle much from Moxie or Beast Boost. You could argue S before B, but I think it's firmly like A, like probably like the middle of A, exactly. Not like A.
Very good. You're glad to have it, especially on offensive mon. But yeah, you're not. Versus adaptability, where you just get it off the rip. You don't have to kill him on first. It's not terribly close. Next we got Aura Break, pretty solid one. Reduces power of dark and fairy type moves. I'm thinking solid. It depends, of course, because of what your typing is. But anything that's going to essentially give you, it's like heat proof or thick fat. Anything that gives you essentially resistance, I'm pretty in favor of.
Yes. I mean, I don't think it's anything special, but
no. It's just added resistance, which is solid.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if it was on the right typing Pokemon, it would be really good if it's bulky enough. But it doesn't. It's definitely a little above situational, but it's still not like A.
Agreed. Next we got Bad Dreams. This is a really interesting one piece of, again, proliferation here. It seems solid. Like again, if we're talking about like Amoonguss, like oh my god, amazing.
Well, but Amoonguss is not Regenerator.
You're right. And it's
you're talking about Breloom. Well, Breloom without all the sleep Pokemon have good abilities.
I know, that's the problem. Who else gets Spore? I don't even know. Maybe my
Smeargle.
Yeah, there you go. Bad Dream Smeargle ruined the metagame. I guess solid or situational. It's in that range.
I think high C.
I see. Okay, I'm with that.
Because it like is the epitome of situational. Because if you give a Charizard Bad Dreams, the Charizard is not going to make use of Bad Dreams.
Yeah.
But if you give a Darkrai Bad Dreams, the Darkrai is going to make great use of Bad Dreams. So
if you assume every Pokemon in the game had Spore, then I think it goes up to like maybe A. But the problem is the amount of good sleep moves are so rare, and frankly, we're at a point where so many tiers have like generous sleep clauses that it also is reduced to. So. Yeah,
and also like a lot of people recently have been like on a crusade against inaccurate moves, like less focus blast usage, which by proxy you're seeing less usage of moves that aren't like sleep pattern spore. You're not going to see hypnosis as much, for example, or grass whistle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ball fetch, again, literally useless. Not going to matter for us.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just literally. We got battle armor next, where you're. Oh no, battery. My apologies.
I mean, we can skip battery. It's just going to go right to F.
Yeah, exactly. Battle armor again, I think would be pretty quick. Technically better than useless, but I don't think if you're playing for
It's
crits,
the
it's gonna
epitome of
matter.
D. Yeah.
Battle bond is interesting because we're just ranking Ash Greninja, who's amazing, I guess. So like, it's gonna be the same
A?
thing. Yeah, like I don't know.
Oh, wait. Didn't Battle Bond get worse this generation?
Oh yeah, it's only one. It's only one use, right?
Now it's situational. Like it went from A to C.
I think you're right. I think yeah, at peak probably an A or better, but now you're right. I think it's gonna be a
Yeah,
C
like
there.
Ash Greninja went from a top 10 Pokemon, and now like who cares?
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's gonna be another one later on who, oh yeah, at the very end, Zero to Hero is gonna be an interesting question too, right? Because it gives you
You
a
guys
great
just look
Pokemon
at
from
this
a
whole
bad
list of
one.
abilities and like, oh my god, get my popcorn ready.
Beads of Ruin, pretty amazing. I think the damage works out to be very similar to like an adaptability boost for your offense, except you don't even need to be on your stab. So I'm happy to put it right next to it, honestly. Maybe even in front.
It should be, in my opinion, right behind, but you can put it right ahead. That's fine too.
Okay. Beast Boost, we are talking about with As1. Pretty similar. It's literally worse, I guess. I mean, you can argue it's better because you can boost your speed. But you have a
I
nerf.
think you put it right ahead of it, but it doesn't
Okay.
make a big difference.
Berserk, I'm okay with solid. You know, Galarian Moltres is such a great abuser of it, so it's a little bit hard to tell, but I think it's solid. It gives you extra boost if you use rest.
I've always liked the name of it too. Not that that matters towards its effectiveness, but yeah.
Next we got Big Pex, protecting the Pokemon from defense, lowering attacks. This is like the epitome of better than useless to me. We're like, sure, it might come in use like 1 in 20 games, but you're never really thinking about it as a factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I disagree wholeheartedly there.
You sorry?
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
I thought you said I disagree wholeheartedly there. I was ready for a huge debate
I
on Big
disagree
Pex.
wholeheartedly. You need to put it in S.
Yeah, exactly. I was ready for the fight of my life. Blaze, same thing. You know, I can think of a couple of specific examples of like Pitaya Berry and Polions being really cool, but
I actually disagree. I think
you're thinking
that
C?
Blaze and Overgrow and Torrent should be in C because we've seen enough of those starter Pokemon over the many generations make use of it, and I think that we have a bit of recency bias if we were to put it in D, just because there have been so many new Pokemon that are starters that get like second abilities that are better. But that's still a huge boost, and there are ways to manipulate that. You know, we've seen Empoleon in DPP, which was like A tier, but let's not forget the fact that we've seen in lower tiers a bunch of like Choice Banded Torterra and Swords Dance or Growth Venusaur, and that can even do well without Sun in those tiers. We've seen it before, so.
Okay, I'm happy to defer that then.
Lower C, but not like D, definitely.
That's fair. It's better than a crit. Yeah, you've convinced me. Bulletproof is an ability I really love. Pretty much gives you a ghost immunity, it feels like, because it counts Shadow Ball, counts Pyro Ball, counts Gyro Ball, which depending on the tier can be a really important immunity. I think it's definitely, it's on that verge of situational, right? It depends on your metagame. But it's pretty widespread immunity, it feels like.
See, the thing is, it comes into play more than something like Airlock, because you look at Weather versus like a couple of like those common attacks, and I'd say it is better. So you have to put it above Airlock. So it's just either the top of C or the bottom of B, and I'd say bottom of B.
I think bottom of B, because anything that gives you like an immunity, I'm my ears perk
There
up.
were months when Gengar had to run Dazzling Gleam or be virtually unviable in early SOU.
Sludge Bomb,
because Pummel was so good.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really cool ability. Cheek Pouch restores additional HP when a berry is consumed. I'm going to try to remember to read off some of these descriptions, the lesser known ones, because I have a sheet in front of me, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers don't here.
You're telling me all your viewers didn't make their own sheet and do their homework before your video?
Yeah, honestly, I'm disappointed. Those of you who have your own sheet in front of you, I'm impressed. Everyone else, I'll be assigning extra homework after class. Cheek Pouch restores extra HP when a berry is consumed. I guess situational, like a low C.
Yeah, maybe D, but low C is fine. I think I put it right below Blaze either way. So
yeah. I mean, it's like you can build a specific set, but yeah, I'm trying to make us not spend too much time on these lesser ones. I'd rather get to like interesting debates on, you know, some of the higher tiered ones, and we'll probably tier those a little bit more closely than this lower stuff. And we also have a lot to go through.
We do have a lot to go.
Okay, Chilling Neigh, literally worse than As1.
Yeah,
Chlorophyll, this is going to be an interesting one. A weather boosting ability is going to be the same as Swift Swim and shit like that.
So this is setting precedent, in my opinion, for what's to come for those.
Sure.
And in my opinion, by definition, it could fit into B or C, but my gut says A, and that's where it gets weird. Let me explain myself
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
I'm saying
Because C is situational, and it does rely on a situation where weather's present, and B is like solid, and getting your speed boosted in some situations like seems like more than situational because like it's a really good benefit. Like for example, Aftermath relies on you dying, but it's a great benefit. So that's why I kind of. But then you look at how great they have been in the context of our metagames with the right support, and it's like wow, this is like defined things and even caused a lot of bans over generations in lower tiers. And I think because of what I've seen, I'd say Chlorophyll is an A given its distribution, but in terms of sheer effect, it's a B. So A or B is fine with me.
yeah, we might reshuffle this later. My gut's telling me A, and that's what your gut said. So I'm thinking there, just because I think the word situational is a bit tricky because literally it is situational where you need to create a situation to take advantage of it. But when I'm thinking of situational as a C tier, I'm thinking of something where like you can plan all you want, but the use of Armor Tail is going to be incidental based on just like a very small, chance of it happening from your opponent. Whereas Chlorophyll, people are building teams around this one aspect to take advantage of it as effectively as possible, which makes it a little bit different in my eyes. You're
That's
creating
fair.
the situation. It's good enough to create a situation around. So I do, and it's so powerful when it does happen. When an Armor Tail goes off, your opponent's like, ah, shit, okay, well, I'll switch to someone else or whatever. When a Chlorophyll, shift tree has clicked growth against your team, you're looking at your available switch and it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So I'm with you there. We can change it later, but that's my gut too. Next, we got Clear Body prevents other Pokemon from lowering its stats. I'm thinking solid or situational. I love it in terms of webs and intimidate, but
Yeah,
those are literally situational.
I think that it's C. I put it a little bit below like Battle Bond and Bad Dreams, but above everything else.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Because like webs are common, and also things like a Moonblast special attack drop. It happens every single time the move is clicked. I don't care if it's actually 30%. So like that's great. But
That's true.
Intimidate too. If you're Metagross, that's the Pokemon depicted.
Yes. Let's
Is
see.
it
We got.
Cloud9 Airlock?
I think it's the exact. I literally just scrolled up as you were talking. I was hoping you would vamp longer so I could check that. It seems to be the exact same. So
Yeah. So just
we'll
put them
stop
next to
it
each other. Rayquaza's cooler looking, so it gets ahead.
Yes, for sure. We got Color Change next. Changes the Pokemon's type to the foe's move.
It's worse than Protein, but it's still good. I'd say B.
Okay, I've literally no opinion on this, so I'll defer to you.
Well, as a frequent Kecleon user in the PU metagame, it did give it life, but also it can backfire if your opponent knows what it's doing. So
right.
I'd say like it has like A potential, but also like D downside. So B is fine with it.
Okay. Comatose, you are essentially asleep, but you still get to use your moves as much as you want. So you're pretty much status immune. You can spam other specific sleep things. Very
If this was
specific.
on any other Pokemon, I think it'd be so much better.
Yeah. I think this is the case.
I genuinely think it has a case for being an A for what it's worth, because status immunity is so substantial.
I do agree. If you find out that there's a new DLC Pokemon coming to Scarlet and Violet that has Comatose, I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. This could be really cool. So
like, this Pokemon is gonna be like viable in OU unless it's really bad. And then this Pokemon came out and it didn't have much it could do, so it was really bad.
Yeah. I'm thinking high B, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think I can argue for A, but I don't think I care enough. I don't think it's that much better than Analytic, and I definitely think it's a step down from Chlorophyll. So.
Yeah. Okay, we're in agreement there. We have Commander. Once again, that's going to be a doubles specific ability here. You have
It's very good there, though.
Yeah. Shout out to Moxie Boosted, who loves to spam that one. We got Competitive next, that sharply raises special attack when the Pokemon's stats are lowered. Essentially just special Defiant. I'm thinking solid.
Yeah, well, it is situational, but it's also so good when it works. I mean,
like a
again,
better clear body.
Drop gives you +1 instead of -1. Think of it like that.
Yeah.
So I'd say B.
Yeah, I think it's just like a better clear body.
Yeah, I mean, also like look at it relative to say Berserk, and the situations they come into handy, like both come into handy pretty often. Berserk a little more, so I'd say Berserk's higher, but they're same tier in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Compound Eyes is tricky because it depends what inaccurate moves you have. If you have something like Thunder, like this Galvantula does, or if you have something like, of course, Dynamic Punch, it becomes a lot better.
Hypnosis, Dynamic Punch, yeah, but also like, I still find that to be kind of situational.
Yeah, the word situational
I
trying to
think
kill
you
us
could
here.
argue B before D, but I'd say maybe C or low B.
I'm thinking low B. I'm thinking low B.
Fine.
We might have to
I
shuffle
mean,
things
it's like
around.
it's better than Battle Bond is in its current state by a long shot. So I'd argue
Yeah,
that if anything, we should actually be moving down Battle Bond because every time I look at C, I'm like, well, this is better than Battle Bond. It has to be B.
yeah, that's fair. It's such a weird one, man. I just don't know what to think about it. We could do something like, and Bad Dreams is also weirdly specific. Clear Body I like as the
Yeah,
top of C.
everybody I think is the epitome of like a really good C ability.
I'm with you there. Compound Ice is also tricky. Like, do you know how much it boosts the accuracy by? Is it like 20%?
Yeah, I think it's 1.25.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad, you see.
Oh wait, I'm checking Google to make sure I'm not wrong. It's 1.3. I'm sorry.
1.3, that's even better. Okay, I'm actually very comfortable with B if that's the case.
Yeah, I think so too. Initially, I thought 1.2. Then I was like, maybe it's 1.25. Now it's 1.3. I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
When we get to Victory Star, we'll probably notch it down several slots because it's only a 10% boost. But
yeah, I mean,
better.
that doesn't even make like Hypnosis a good move to use. It's still Focus Blast at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Contrary, I think it's really
S.
really good. You think an S? I was thinking top of A or S, but I'm down. You got me.
It's tough because like if you have Leaf Storm or Draco or Overheat or Superpower, which all the Pokemon that have a Contrary do get, then it's great. Like it made an NU Pokemon into a top OU Pokemon in Generation 6.
Yeah, again, what I come back to is when you talk about Superior, the first thing you think of is its ability. Like it almost defines the Pokemon how good it is, and it'd be the same with almost either one. Yeah, I'm actually with you. I'm convinced because yeah,
I think it. Let me put it this way: I think Contrary is much better than Beast Boost.
Yes, yeah, and like I think it's worlds better than Chlorophyll too. So I'm with you there.
I definitely say so.
Corrosion, I'm thinking.
I think for me, Corrosion is the epitome of like a high A ability. It's tough though.
If Pex had to be a lot different, I'm swayed by it being Salazzle, who just dies so instantly. It gets off like 1 or 2, but if like a real defensive mon, like if Ting Lu had Corrosion, like good god.
If Ting Lu had Corrosion and access to Toxic, then it would be Uber.
Dude, every mon would be Toxic.
We would not be playing Pokemon anymore. We would be playing Finch's Nightmare. So yeah, you could put it at low S for now.
Okay.
I think it's on the chopping block though. So if we get like a bloated S tier and our A tier continues to be small, I think we would consider switching it though.
Yeah, we might eventually cave and do an A plus. But for now, I'm very comfortable with this. Co-Star is literally doubles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, unless you suddenly have a second Pokemon pop up next to you in singles, in which case you're playing doubles. So
that'd be good. I wish
that'd be
sometimes. Cotton Down lowers foes' speed when hit. Kind of useful. Seems like C-ish to me.
I mean, I've never seen anything use it because Regenerator is well ahead of it, but it's definitely situational by like its name and description.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Cudchew can eat the same berry twice. This one's it requires some specific theory crafting, but I think it could definitely be really solid. So
I think it is pretty situational though. Like you need to have a berry and not get like
beyond that range.
Yeah.
Anything that's berry dependent, I'm gonna have a hard time saying is like legitimately like consistently.
I put it like above Battle Bond, but again, I think I still put it below Clear Body, and that's where I'm kind of like in my head like there's such a big difference.
Yeah, maybe we need a C+ tier.
Maybe we need a
or dump everything down 1 and make.
Yeah, but then what's below F? Z, worst and useless, and like that makes sense. But we don't have like a G tier. That'd be awkward. So
we could create like a
D+ or a C- or a C+.
Yeah, I'm looking to make a C+.
All right,
this is getting really tricky already.
And we're only in like the C's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is getting too tricky immediately. So we'll do C+. I don't know if I want to put a subtitle next to it. We'll put things that are. I almost feel like we should do this and then bump some down from B. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think I like this, where they're slightly more consistent. Or maybe the thing is like Like, does that make sense?
It's tough, man.
You can't use one descriptor to fit all of these wildly different abilities.
Because like Pokemon abilities, the thing is that they're so situationally dependent.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever gonna have a perfect list, but I think we'll have a really good list, basically.
Maybe just like the word useful. Like, just, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't even argue that C plus is like regularly useful and C is situational. I guess you don't need the word regularly in front of it, but just like in our brains, if you will.
Maybe often situational. I don't know. You're trying to. Like,
I think it's fine with just situational. Yeah, I think this is good because like there is a distinction between useful and situational. One implies there's a consistent presence. One implies it's more sporadic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like Cudchew, you're not going to be able to consume a berry 2 times unless you're using a very bulky Pokemon, and it's like even then, like the best you're getting is like 50% out of it. It's just like having a recovery move in your item slot, which happens 1 time a game. Whereas something like, say, Regenerator is going to do it every time you switch out. That's the difference, you know, between situational and like elite. You know,
that's a compelling argument. Okay, so Cudchew is now the new barrier to beat. I'm moving to Battle Bond again, man.
Cudchew is the new Battle Bond, by the way.
Pardon?
Cudchew is the new Battle Bond.
It's like the new Battle Bond. Yeah, exactly. You must be this high to pass Cudchew. Curious Medicine resets all stat changes upon entering battlefield. This, I think, would be a really good one. It's, again, overshadowed by the use of Regenerator. But if you think of being able to immediately nullify like a Quiver Dance or a Pokemon who is speed boosting out of control, I think it sounds really good to me. I think we're talking about a C+ or B here.
I'm thinking a Pokemon that's cleared the Cudchew line, but is probably below the things that give you like tangible, consistent advantages. Like Compound Eyes can always help your set. Competitive can always dissuade you against certain Pokemon. Curious Medicine is only a specific set of Pokemon, and even then, some of them might still match with advantage to. So only like say half the setup sweepers, but I still think it's consistently useful enough.
Okay, I'm with you there. It clears Cudchew. That's what we care about.
Yeah, the Cudchew barrier has been cleared.
Cursed Body, I think, is so freaking good, man. Like, I've played a lot of Mono Ghost, which uses a lot of Corsola Galar. I think it comes into use so often on forcing swaps.
So, here's my thing here. Cursed Body is something that I would put in B, but the Pokemon that get it are all ugly, so therefore I'm fine with C+. No, but like,
I'll fight you on that.
By sheer ability, I think it's B.
I think I would prefer it to Aura Break, but not Analytic.
I think I'd prefer it to Analytic, but not Comatose.
Oh, I'm kind of coming back on Aura Break too, though.
No.
I'm keeping it. Cute Charm, contact with a Pokemon may cause infatuation. I guess it's technically by the same argument, it's pretty close to Cursed Body in that it's a contact move that may occur and be a status move that happens on swap out. But infatuation is significantly worse than Cursed Body. So I guess we just jump it down a tier.
I actually think, hear me out, between Cursed Body and Aftermath is the perfect place for it. Because they're both contact move based.
But also they're contact move based, but also infatuation is dependent on gender. Am I right?
Yes, but
it's another like factor on it. It's half as likely then.
Yes, but how likely is it that you're going to die to a physical attack move if they know that? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think you could argue that it's below Aftermath, but I don't think you could argue it's like below the Cudchew line, basically.
I'm thinking C+, because I think while it triggers the same amount as Cursed Body, the benefit is worse. Well, no, sorry, it triggers less than it, and the benefit is also worse. So it's just a significant downgrade.
How often does it trigger?
I think like 30%. But
I thought it was 50. Hold on, we're in intense debate now. This is a big topic.
This is the heated Cute Charm debate you all came for. 30%.
Okay.
And then cut that in half because it's gender. And then Cursed Body, I didn't want to check now that we're on it. I believe is also 30%. It's the same as Volcarona's ability.
Okay. I actually am like thinking it's even like arguably like around the Cudchew line now. Like I'd put it below Clear Body for sure.
Yeah, I think I put it below Curious Medicine. I think it barely cures the Cudchew line.
Yeah, I think that we need to like have like a real like Cudchew line discussion later. But yes, for now.
Okay.
I think there'll be like a follow-up video to this, the Cudchew line discussion.
I think I need a T-shirt that has like on my chest, like "Do you clear the Cud line" or something like that.
I think it'd sell. I'd buy one.
Okay, damp is what I honestly thought of when I thought literally better than useless. Like, how rarely do you care about being immune to explosion? Like, maybe 1 in 30 games does it ever come in mind, but it's still better than literally a useless thing like Commander.
Here's my counterpoint to that. Are we discussing this solely within the scope of Generation 9, which we are given Battle Bond? So yes, I think that before explosion got hampered a lot in Generation 3 and 4, if damp was prevalent, it would be like a B or C plus. Now it's D though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. If you'd asked me like 10 minutes ago, I would have said this discussion is kind of like across most generations, but the presence of Battlemonds has kind of forced our hand.
We had to make a precedent call, and now we follow that precedent. That's kind of how I see it.
And yeah, so like if you as the viewer say like screw you, I'm playing a metagame that has lots of explosion, then yeah, by all means bump it up several tiers. I'm fine with that. But if we're talking about the average Gen 8 OU game, then it is almost never going to come into effect.
Yeah, I mean you'll run into an explosion lead Landorus T in like Generation 8 every now and then. Generation 9, there's no explosion really.
So next up we have Dancer, which copies the opponent's dancing ability stat boost, which is literally just a worse version of the new ability that got introduced, Opportunist, which copies all stat boosts. So let's just jump ahead of the alphabetical thing here. What would you call Opportunist, which is going to copy all stat boosts? I'm thinking like a mid C.
So here's the thing. Would you rather be Opportunist or would you rather be Curious Medicine? Just as an initial question.
Yeah, if I remember the Curious Medicine line now, I would way rather have Curious Medicine personally.
Okay. I don't think
sorry. No, I think you're misunderstanding it actually. I misunderstood this too. If I come in on a Volcarona that's +6, I don't copy that +6 like a Mew would.
What?
If I come in and then Volcarona gets Quiver Dance, I get that stat boost. I don't immediately copy upon entry.
Wait. So it's +5. I come in, I don't get +5. But then if it Quiver Dances again,
I get the +111. Yeah.
Oh, that's useless.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
That's like D. That's D. Maybe high C. Probably D. Because like not to use a setup move in front of it. You already beat it because you set up.
But you could swap in on one Quiver Dance with a Slitherwing, for example. I'm talking about from the almost an ability perspective here. You could come in on a Volcarona with a Slitherwing. You copy that stat boost, and then you can kill them, and you have the boosted Spadef.
There's some intrinsic value to it if you can predict well with it, especially if your opponent doesn't foresee it. So I would say that it's C,
very situational,
ability, but it's very situational.
Yeah, I'm thinking like low C for sure. Like I'm making a lot out of nothing. And so if that's the case, and Dancer is literally, well, I talk about Quiver Dance. That's funny actually, but it's literally just a significantly worse version of that. So I'm thinking like it's got to be at least D.
Well, yeah. So Dancer is it, but worse, just on paper. So Dancer is one tier below it pretty much no matter what, unless we're talking DNF because neither is useless. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Dark Aura next, which is pretty much adaptability. Well, not really. It's kind of like Rocky Payload, I guess, if anything. Where just boosts one type's damage. All those for all.
It's like half adaptability. It's like adapt or ability.
So I'm thinking like a B.
Well, wait, actually, 1 second here. It raises the dark type moves of foes too, right?
Yeah, so it's actually worse than adaptability too. Yeah, because
it's actually worse. Now I would still put it in B because you're still resistant to dark moves. That's not going to come up too often. But yeah, I definitely think B. I'd argue for above Aura Break, but I wouldn't argue much more.
Sure. I kind of just placed it there willy nilly. Dauntless Shield, another great example of something that got nerfed. I think this is a fantastic one. I forgot about Generation 7. Just a +1 to defense in all cases. It's just like well, I was gonna say it's just like Fluffy, but it's not. It's very different. But anyways, it's just a +1 to your defense, which is amazing. But it's now being nerfed, so it's only +1 per. Like you only get one time to activate that ability. As a result,
it's kind of like how they went in that direction with the booster energy based abilities, where you get a one-time boost. And because of that, I still think it could arguably be B tier, but it would have been A tier or S tier without it.
I think it depends. Like if we're talking about like a Komodo getting it, and then an Iron Defenses, and then it like, or a Mew with some sort of like setup set, then you could maybe make an argument for B. But I'm okay with like a low C plus.
I mean, I'd put it above Anger Shell, but below Clear Body.
yes.
We
I'm
also
down for
okay.
that.
Can I stop for a second here?
Yep.
In my opinion, we have two lines for me. We've got the Kudzu line, and then we've got the clear body line.
I'm talking
I
about
think clear
curious
body
medicine
might.
line.
I think clear body might be the best in C+ right now.
Overly competitive.
Yes,
Okay.
because competitive doesn't help with things like sticky web. I think you could argue between the two, but
They're very
I
similar.
think that competitive is higher upside, but it also only helps special attackers. And on top of that, it doesn't necessarily help you with sticky web if you're not floating and you don't take it. And I guess that's kind of moot though, because you don't take it. See, I'd say competitive ahead of it, but clear body right behind it, because competitive is just
For me, it feels like competitive
drop, but then you get a double boost.
For me, like competitive feels like it punishes your opponent for going to a Landorus or for using defog or for sticky webs. Especially like I'm thinking of like Defiant and Sucker Punch Bisharp and shit like that. But it feels like it punishes them, whereas Clear Body just ignores it. So I think I'd rather have the competitive in that sense. But it's not strictly that easy, because of course you might not be able to take advantage of punishing it if your speed's lowered.
Yeah,
like that's just what I have stuck in my head right now.
Competitive is more situational but much higher upside. Clear body is just consistent. But I think the higher upside, because it's 2-step boost, you're kind of taking 1 step back and 2 steps forward in another direction, is enough to put it ahead of it. But I think both are better than everything else in C+.
I agree with that. I think Compound Eyes is up there for sure, and Dauntless Shield I'd like in that range, but you're right, it's definitely worse than those.
I just think that I kept seeing Clear Body ahead of Compound Eyes, and then I started like bugging out.
Finch, is it time for a C++ tier of the Clear Body
I think
line?
we need a B- tier too.
Oh god. Dazzling, literally the same as Armor Tail as far as I know. And Defeatus is going to be our first Z, literally worse than useless. You would rather have Ball Fetch than that. And speaking
can I have
of
a counter argument to that?
Yes.
If you switch in on skill swap.
Do we need a Z plus situationally worse than useless?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was also kidding. I would refuse to make a Z plus tier. I would have to go hard, long look at my life if that was where I was at. Defiant, literally the same as competitive. I'm gonna give it a slight edge just because I've got that Sucker Punch Bisharp so burned in my mind.
Also, there are slightly more physical moves than special moves in the game, I believe.
Sure. Yeah, I'll defer to that. Delta Stream is going to create strong winds when the ability activates, and so that's going to remove any other weather, so automatically making it better than Airlock and Cloud 9, clearing the Kudzu line. But also it's going to reduce the weakness of rock and ice attacks on flying type Pokemon. So it's also in the vein of an aura break there.
Aura break.
So I'm thinking
I didn't even know it did that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Like Corvin, and I think I might be wrong with the rock. It might be electric and ice, but still, it helps your weaknesses.
I mean, regardless, I think that's A.
Yeah, I think so too. Just the weather removal alone is like a useful thing. It's just you're literally just adding Cloud 9 and Aura Break.
Chilling next to Mega Rayquaza real quick.
Pardon me?
Look at Shiftry and Mega Rayquaza just chilling next to each other. They're having a good time. I think they'd be friends.
Just another tier list where those two are equal and right next to each other. Very
They're neighbors.
Desolate Land, I think, might be the highest one besides Arena Trap so far. It is better than Drought. It's similar to to Delta Stream. It's going to remove any other weather unless like another one comes in on it, like a Primordial Sea. It's going to give you a fire immunity, so I think it's actually better than Primordial Sea because Primordial Sea doesn't care about fire so much. Depends on the user, of course, but you do care about a water attack as a fire type, or in Groudon's case, a ground type Pokemon. So I think it's extremely good.
Wait. It gives it a water immunity, not a fire immunity.
Desolate Land gives you a water immunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Yeah, it gives you a water immunity. No, you're good. So I think, in my opinion, it's clearly S, regardless of how you chop it. But
yeah,
I don't think it's Z. I don't think it's game breaking necessarily.
I agree. I think it's the best we've seen so far that isn't game breaking for sure. Because
you could see if Rapidash got Desolate Land, it would not be Uber or even close to Uber.
No.
But if Rapidash got Arena Trap, Rapidash by stats and move pool is a better Pokemon than Dugtrio.
Yeah, I always think that if Dugtrio just got banned, then Diglett would have a similar niche in a sense.
Yeah.
But you couldn't make that argument.
Diglett was used on the suspect ladder, which is why we changed it to Arena Trap.
I totally agree. So yeah, I think Arena Trap is fundamentally game breaking, where Desolate Land is just like about as good as ability can be before it is game breaking.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And so, and we're gonna talk about this probably more going forward, once we come across more of them. But anything that gives you a type immunity, I'm always gonna be very in favor of being at least like a B. So that whole additional aspect to it, I think is really cool.
Yes, I mean that makes it stand out a ton from like Drizzle and Drought too.
Yeah. Okay, so Disguise is next. Disguise, I'm thinking it's a strictly better multi-scale. I'm thinking somewhere in the A. What about you, Finch? Again, it's one of those things where you think of Mimikyu, it's the first thing you think of.
Let me ask you something here. If I hear a new Pokemon's coming out with Disguise, what am I thinking? What are you thinking?
Oh shit, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, me too.
But Counterpoint, it is better than multi-scale, but multi-scale can be restored, whereas Disguise that's gone.
I think I'd put it in top of A, but I think you could just fight S before B.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of top of AS. I think it's in that corrosion zone for sure.
I'd put it above Beast Boost, but below corrosion. I still think corrosion has an argument for being A, but yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay, I'm definitely in agreement with you there. Next we got Download. Oh, we're into some good ones here, Finch. We got, if you actually look ahead, we got some really good ones coming up.
I'm trying not to cheat here, man.
Oh man, hey, we got early bird coming, so save some energy. Download. Very, very good. It's interesting when you compare it to a Pokemon like Genesect getting it to a Pokemon like Porygon 2 getting it. But even Porygon 2 gets a ton of offensive utility with that. So I'm thinking somewhere in the A's personally.
I'd say lower A, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, my first instinct was actually B, if I'm being honest. But the more I think about it, I think it's got to be at least an A.
Well, also, like, it's almost situational because it's really good on Pokemon that could use both attacking stats.
Yeah, if you're a mixed attacker, you love it. Like a Garchomp would love it. But if you're
a wall, you hate it.
Yeah, if you're a wall, you hate it. But even then, Porygon 2, like, it takes it from terrible special attack to something like you can't just stay in willy-nilly on some Ice Beam from a Porygon 2 if it's boosted the right way. So,
I mean, it's gonna freeze you regardless, but sure.
Yeah. Okay, next we got Dragon's Maw. Also similar to Dark Aura in the sense that it gives you like an adaptability bonus, but very specific. It's going to boost one thing's power. I think it's strictly better than Dark Aura because it doesn't power up your opponent's moves, but it's still just a 50% boost to your stat, which is going to be objectively solid.
I think that you go ahead and put it around Cursed Body and Dark Aura. I think you could argue bumping it up a little more, but yeah, no, it's the same ballpark.
For sure. Drizzle and Drought is going to be right after it, so we can talk about the two at the same time here.
You're in the right place, yeah.
Yeah, probably higher than Download. I'm thinking like
I'd put it all the way above as one in Chongnay. I'd probably put it. I'd put it at the top of A actually. It's front of A.
Over Disguise. I agree.
Because Weather is so potent. Like obviously, it's not going to help every single individual Pokemon get, but teams are built around this crap. So
yeah. Exactly. Teams are built around it, and in the case of like Pelipper and Torkoal, like there's such mediocre Pokemon outside of these abilities.
And also, look at where Chlorophyll is.
Yeah.
So if that's in low A, this has to be like high A.
Argue.
Well, we gotta bump that down. We might need an A+.
We might need an A+. Let's sit on that. Let's sit on that, but I'm thinking these two are the first candidates for an A+ so far, for sure.
You know, like, I feel like it being in the same tier as Chlorophyll and Rain and Swift Swim is kind of rough.
Yeah, actually, you're right. When he's right, he's right. I'm running
for once in my life.
There. I'm thinking just these two in the new A+ tier, honestly. Maybe
you could put this guys there personally, but
I'm gonna push back. I think I prefer Drizzle and Drought significantly to Disguise.
Okay.
Let's keep it like that for now. You can fight me back on it later. Dry Skin is speaking of getting a type immunity, going to fit into that category, but it's about as bad as it can get for that because it has a lot of wait, am I full of it? This description I'm reading says reduces HP if it is hot. Water restores HP. That is a weirdly nondescript description. So yes, it is water immune. I believe it takes double fire damage, and it takes damage in the sun.
Does it double fire damage or just take damage in sun?
I gotta look it up. Our description.
I don't think it takes double fire.
Okay. Restores HP in rain or when hit by water type moves, so it doesn't have immunity. Reduces HP in harsh sunlight and increases the damage received from fire type moves.
Is that new?
Yes.
Okay. I
It's
am a boomer. It's official.
Zoomers know their toxic rogue sets. Finch, come on. So it's about as, maybe you could argue it's better because it has some weather synergy, but I think it's about as bad as a type immunity can get, in the sense that you all are trading off and getting more fire damage. But I think anything that gives you a type immunity is at least B. I can't really put it in the same sense as chlorophyll, but I'm thinking like, I think it clears the Comatose line personally.
We're creating a Comatose line.
There's a lot of lines, yeah.
All right. Well, first off, I agree it clears the Comatose line. I don't think it's A tier though because of the drawback. I think that others like Water Absorb is clearly better. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
That Water Absorb is A.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time not putting like a flash fire in A going forward. Okay. So we're in agreement there. Dry skin is about as good as you can be, or as bad as an immunity ability can be. Next we have Early Bird, which your Pokemon awakens quickly from sleep. I thought this was terrible until I saw Pokemon use this on a Rest Dundazo set on almost any ability. I was like, okay, maybe it does have a specific niche thing, but still pretty specific.
It's above the Battle Bond line.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Well, think of it like this.
It makes Rest good.
Rest not only heals your HP, but it also heals status. We see Comatose solely because of status, basically, up in B. This has to be factored in a little more than other situational things in my eyes. And while it is very niche and it is still very situational, it has such a weight when the situation comes into play that I think it's like around Kudzu. I'm not saying it clears the Kudzu line. It might be like the first thing looking on at the Kudzu line.
Yeah, versus Airlock, again, it depends. I'm influenced right now by seeing just a Doug trio there, but if I was looking at like a big bulky Pokemon like a Snorlax, I'd be very differently thinking about it. So maybe above Airlock then. I'm with you there.
Yeah. We're into the E's, guys.
Earth Eater. Oh my God, Finch. I do think it's actually a top heavy list, but Earth Eater is I'm gonna say it. I would way rather have a ground immunity than almost anything else in this game.
Hey.
And it's the best you can get because it restores HP instead of just like giving you a boost. So I think this is a easy A. I think it's like around Beast Boost for sure.
I'd put it above as one, below Beast Boost.
Sure.
All right, let's keep going.
You know, I'm gonna put it above Beast Boost just for the sake of simplicity. I agree with you, but just so like those three are grouped together, you know?
Yep.
Next we get Effect Spore. Effect Spore is interesting because almost every Pokemon that gets it has a better option available. But I think it's a really great one where it's the same thing as those other contact ones. There's a 30% chance of getting some sort of random status. I think I prefer it to Cursed Body if that's the case, because I would rather, because that's permanent. Cursed Body can be swapped out of, whereas if Pokemon gets,
and I think putting them next to each other is kind of dope too.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this going forward. We just group things. You know, you can maybe make an argument it's better than analytic, but like it's simplicity's sake. Yeah. Electric Surge is an interesting one for sure. I think it's S.
Oh no, maybe A plus. Is it better than Weather?
I don't think it's better than Weather, and I think if we're talking about something like a better terrain, then we can have a discussion. But this is only going to save you from falling asleep and boosting electric moves. So I'm thinking like, I think it clears Disguise.
I think I'd put it in low A plus.
Okay, I'm done with that. I'll probably set a precedent with the other surges too. Electromorphosis, I have to look this one up. Boosted power of the next electric type move when hit by attack. Man, that is so mid.
That is the epitome of better than useless.
You want to go Opportunist? Or you want to put in D?
You know what? If we're gonna have Opportunist not in D, then I think we should put this in C2. It's fine.
Okay. Emergency Exit is interesting because you can definitely make the case it's Z, but there's some specific cases where I'm sure it's useful. But I'm gonna just
you could make a case for Z and B at the same time. Yeah. I'd say it averages out and makes it in C because it is by nature situational. There are situations where you can manipulate it, but there are also situations where you wish it didn't happen. As the player, you do have the power to dictate that, but there's also sometimes where you just want to get that extra layer of spikes or that knockoff or that second leech life in, you know?
Yeah, I personally think it hurts you more often than it benefits you for sure.
I think that's not the case when I've played it, but with boots, it's helped a lot because you can kind of manage it, and
Yeah,
obviously boots still are in the game, but people initially use more choice band, more citrus berry, and it also depends on what Pokemon has it too. So yeah,
that's also true. No, I'll defer to you there. We got Fairy Aura next. I think let's just, for simplicity's sake, put it right by Dark Aura there.
a little
Again,
above, yeah. It's
it's
very
gonna.
better than dark.
Yep. And it's gonna raise opponents' fairy type attacks too, which matters, but still, it's gonna boost one type's attack. Filter, I guess, is kind of similar in the sense where it's just like, it's very type dependent. I guess like low B. What do you think?
I'd actually say higher in B, but it's definitely in B. I'd put it above like the Aftermath ability.
I still don't know about color change, but yeah, I agree with that.
I think color change comes into play no matter what you take, whereas filter is only for super effective moves, and that's more important when it happens, but it's still more situational, so it's fine.
Sure. Okay, I'm with that. Let's go to Flame Body next. Flame Body is going to be very similar to Effect Spore, but I would way prefer to have a burn distributed than like a paralysis. Flare Boost is pretty much special Guts. But it's interesting because Guts is better because being burned is such a bad thing for a physical attack, where it doesn't matter for a special attacker. So when we get Guts, I guess it'll be ranked slightly above. But I'm thinking like low A Finch. Where do you sit?
High B, but around analytics is where I'd put it.
Okay. We're in the same ballpark.
I think it's worse than Comatose because Comatose just outright ignores the status, whereas Flare Boost lets you still take the damage from the status, and it does help, but I think being immune to every single status, whereas factoring in just one status is nice. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. Next we get Flash Fire, another type immunity here. I think it's significantly worse than Earth Eater. I think it's definitely better than Dry Skin, so it's just somewhere in this A range. I'm guessing I'll put it like above Delta Stream, above or below Chlorophyll.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's right below Chlorophyll. Kind of the same types, benefit from it, but that immunity is so huge. I'd personally would say that Flash Fire could be around there. Water Absorb would be around there. Obviously, Flash Fire gives you the boost, Water gives you healing, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all agree that everything that's type immune is gonna be in that sort of range. Flower Gift, I have to look up this one. Powers up party Pokemon when it is sunny. That's a useless for me.
Yep.
Flower Veil prevents lowering of allied grass type Pokemon stats. That's also going to be useless. Fluffy's a very good one. It is going to have damage from contact moves, but double damage from fire type moves. This is pretty much a huge reason why Beware is got its little niche that it does. I'm a huge fan of it from certain mono normal teams last generation. I'm thinking I think this is a solid A. You're thinking B? I love this, man. When you get Bulk Up and Drain Punch going, it has a ton of utility.
I think that if it had better distribution, I'd say A. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm more jaded because it's only on one Pokemon, really.
Yeah, and I've also seen just very recently, it's as being huge on Corviknight lately because you're already going to be avoiding fire type attacks as Corviknight, and now it's just got double defense essentially against a lot of really strong moves.
The drawback is really what got me because fire is pretty common, but that is true.
Yeah. Okay. I'll probably put it. I think I prefer to download. I think I personally put it above Flash Fire.
Okay.
Full Metal Body is going to just be clear body but cooler. So it's right above. It does clear the clear body line. Importantly.
by a smidge.
By a smidge. Cast Form's forecast changes with the weather. It's another one of those weird form ones. I mean, I guess it gets better weather ball and shit. So, but I'm thinking this is like a better than useless situational thing. I don't know about Cast Form though.
I would put it in high D or low C is fine.
Sure. Forewarn determines what moves a foe has. Some of the C2. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Friend Guard is going to reduce damage done to allies. A very good one, but not in singles. Frisk, the opponent can check a foe's held item. This is a really interesting example of a move that I wish, it'd be cool if this was Dragapult's only move, for example. I think that'd be neat, but we don't really see it a lot in singles. But I don't know. I think C+ personally, because it is useful.
Yeah, it's more than situational because it comes into play in a lot of situations, but it's not amazing.
Yeah, it gives you intel. Intel's a weird thing to judge because in a perfect game, it doesn't matter. But this is a player's game where intel changes so much. So yeah, I like C plus in that, like, I don't know, anger shell zone.
Yeah,
Fur coat. This reduces
great.
defense from physical moves. It potentially doubles your defense. This is, I
Yes.
think this has to go S. I think it has to go S. I'm putting it below Desolate Land personally. Just double defense is so crazy, honestly. It's gonna be the same thing when we talk about huge power and pure power and ice scales.
Yeah, I mean, Fur Power is great too. Look at it next to Groudon and Mega Pinsir.
It's one of those cases where it's tough because we see this terrible ass Mon, and it feels weird to put these Pokemon next to each other, and it's only ever given to Pokemon with low defenses. Like, there's no way I don't know, a Bronzong is ever gonna get it. But if you look at the ability in a vacuum, it is objectively extremely good.
Yeah, and if Bronzong got it, then it'd be like checking Weavile and crap. So
yeah, exactly. Gil Wings would love to put this in the A+ it deserves, Bird Up. But unfortunately, it's been nerfed pretty significantly. So I think we're looking at, like,
I think it's more C+ than anything else, but it could be B-. I mean,
it's objectively worse than multi-scale, right? Like, so with that token, yeah, I'm thinking C+ too. It's tough, I guess, around here. Next we got Galvanize. Galvanize is another really, really excellent one. I think we're looking at the same thing as Aerolate here.
Yeah,
I guess you can maybe put it low because I'd rather have a strong flying type attack than an electric type
based
attack.
on the typing, yeah. I'd say that Galvanize is right below, but it's still above Adaptability on premise.
For sure. Gluttony encourages the early use of a held berry. Does not clear the Kudchu line. I'm going to tell you that.
It gets close.
It's close. But I think it's not as cool. So no. Oh, Finch, time for you to start spitting. Good as gold. Where are we putting it?
Good as gold is going to be in S tier. It is good as can be. It gives you virtually everything. It says immunity or status moves, but the way status moves are defined, it's not just Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp. It's things like Taunt. It's things like Trick. I believe it's even other moves as well. I mean, you can go and find a list if you'd like, but it's going to come into play virtually every game. It lets Nasty Plot Goldengo be really hard to break for both pure teams and stall teams that don't want to necessarily take out with attacks, but rather with status and maneuvering. It makes it so that, especially with a Pokemon like Goldengo that has Recover, it's just so hard to take out, but it's also such an offensive behemoth that it makes it very well rounded. Overall, good as gold is not something that's going to bolster your defenses by number, but it will by the fact that you're not taking certain damage forms and you're not threatened by that, and it's going to make you much more accessible offensively. So yeah.
I'm also thinking, like, just the insidious effect it has on a team, right? Like, just denying hazards going off the field is unbelievable. Golden Go, of course, is the greatest abuser of it possible because it's going to deny Rapid Spin and Defog in the same move. So we have to keep that in mind. But, like, it versus Fur Coat is such an interesting discussion because Fur Coat is just, yeah, like you said, boosting numbers, whereas this one is just changing the way your opponent has to play the game, which is, like, can't be understated.
Yeah, I should have mentioned the defog aspect of it as well. I apologize, but that is huge as well. That was the big day one thing. Like, hazards and everything go. Now it's like already feels like it's kind of normalized, but it's still obviously very good.
It's literally meta shifting. It's the most meta shifting one here, short of Arena Trap. But I think I put it below Fur Coat. Where do you think?
Yes.
Okay. We're in agreement. Next, we got Gooey, another contact move, which is going to lower the attacker's speed stat. This is going to be the same as that one we saw earlier, right? Cotton Down?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll put it above. Gorilla Taxis is interesting because my gut is that it's so good. But when you compare it to, like, an Adaptability, I guess it is just objectively way worse, right? Like, that seems so weird to me to not have Gorilla Tactics be super high.
I'd actually put it in A, not even A+.
Yeah, because it's objectively worse than Adaptability.
I'd put it like Red Ron Disguise.
I agree. It's better than Beast Boost because they both have limitations where one you have to kill and one is you were limited to a move. But I would way rather be limited to a move.
I'd rather be limited to a move. And honestly, when you compare the two, that almost makes me want to say A+, but nah.
I think I put it above Disguise, personally. Grass Pelt boosts the defense stat in grassy terrain, so it's kind of just like a grassy seed except permanent. Pretty damn situational. I'm tempted to do high D, honestly, but I'm okay with low C too. What about you?
I'm fine with low C.
Sounds good. Grassy Surge. Of course, if you have Grassy Glide, it makes it absolutely unbelievable. It gives you priority. But then beyond that, it's going to add leftovers to everyone on the side. It's going to weaken the power of ground type moves, boost the power of grass type moves. I'm thinking at least Electric Surge. I think Grassy Glide has enough proliferation, although it's this generation where it doesn't. That's tough. I'm trying to talk myself into putting it above Electric Surge. What are you thinking, Finch?
I think I'd put it above Electric, but it's not the best one necessarily.
No, I don't think it's going to rank. I think they're very similar for sure. Grim Nay is going to be the same. We're going to just group it with these guys here. Next, we have Guard Dog, which is going to boost attack of Intimidated and prevents being forced to swap out. That is the epitome of specific. Worse than Blaze. I think worse than Electromorphosis. Maybe here.
I think I agree. I'm not as familiar with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, these C ones I really don't want to dwell on too much because it doesn't really matter ultimately. Gulp Missile's a funny one for sure. You return with a catch in your mouth after using Surf or Dive. If you're at low percent, you can catch a Pikachu and spread paralysis that way. I think it's useful, I guess. Let's just assume that whoever gets this move is going to have access to Surf or Dive.
Yes, if we can assume that, then it's probably C+. If you don't assume that, it's probably like C.
Yeah. Guts, we already talked about this before with Flare Boost. I think it's significantly better just because the fear of burns is such a significant part of being a physical attacker. We're so last generation, we're talking about the proliferation of Scald and shit like that. But it's still better, and Comatose is obviously just better using the Flare Boost. It's always going to influence me on this. But I'm okay to just put it below Comatose, but certainly in that range.
I think that it goes below it just because Comatose offers so much more defensive utility, but Guts offers the offensive utility. It's clearly above Flare Boost. I think those three being in a row is perfect.
I agree. Great. Hadron Engine. Now, this is an ability that I did not know much about until I started experimenting more with almost any ability. It's pretty much... well, actually, let me take a beat and go find Orichalcum Pulse here and talk about that one first. We're going to look for the O's. We're actually cooking here, Finch. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say we're more than halfway through. Where's Orichalcum Pulse. So Orichalcum Pulse is essentially the same as Drought, except crucially, it is going to boost the power of your own attacks in that terrain by another 30%. So if you are a fire type attacker in Orichalcum Pulse, you are boosting your attacks 3 separate times: A for stab, B for being in sun, and C for the Orichalcum Pulse specific thing. So it's absolutely monstrous. Am I mistaken?
No, I think you're right. I just didn't know that.
So we're seeing like Cinderace, if it has Orichalcum Pulse, for example, can like 2-hit KO a Toxapex after, I think, Swords Dance, but maybe it's outrageous damage. You're boosting your own stats 3 times. So I think Orichalcum Pulse, I'm going to preemptively put like above Adaptability, because again, you get that. It's at least Drought.
Like almost as good as Gold, maybe a bit below that. Like, it's so strong.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you combine a Dark Aura or a Dragon's Maw with Weather, but they also like align as the same typing. So I think it's absolutely one of the better ones in the tier. I'm biased because, again, I'm trying not to exhibit almost any ability, but it's weird in that tier because there's so much proliferation of Desolate Land, which can come in, override the weather, and take it away. So it gets limited by that sense. But if for some reason a new Pokemon got announced that's coming to OU next month that has Orichalcum Pulse, I would go, oh shit, like this thing is going to be absolutely unstoppable. So I'm thinking it's because it lets other Pokemon use it, man. I think it's around Desolate Land if we're talking about it in a potential OU.
I think I'd put it below it, but I think it's clearly up there.
Okay. And then next we're gonna have Hadron Engine, which is the same thing except it's for Electric Surge. So that could be better or worse depending on what you mean, because there's going to be less Surge users, so it's less likely that your weather is stolen, for example. But there's also less abusers. Like there's, I think, only one Surge Surf user in Alolan Raichu, whereas there's going to be all kinds of Chlorophyll Pokemon. So it's a little bit weird team dependent wise. So I'm thinking like,
yeah, definitely
in that general range there. Okay, we took a quick break and we realized that we were only about a third of the way through, and it is going to get faster, but I do think we need to start cutting through these C's here. And so that means that if we see something that's in a situational tier, I'm just going to throw it in. If you, the viewer, want to, talk about how Harvest is actually significantly better than Airlock or Guard Dog or whatever, that's fine. But we want to spend more time discussing the cool, interesting top tier ones, and just these like kind of filler ones.
Yeah, we don't want to spend too much time below the Kaiju line.
Exactly. Kaiju line. That's the thing about Kaiju line is that's whether we care about using ability. That's actually the new meaning of that.
It's a healer class.
Exactly. Healer is going to be healing allies' conditions. We don't care about that. Heat proof is going to be another interesting one where it gives you essentially a resistance, not an immunity, but a resistance. So I'm liking it in
above the Kaiju line, but not by a lot.
Yeah. Didn't we have another one that was similar to this early on? Oh,
I don't think.
Aura Break. No, that's the. Yeah, Aura Break, right?
Yeah, but that was with 2 types.
Heat proof is only with fire. You're right. My bad. Okay, let's do Curious Medicine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Heavy Metal doesn't clear the Kaiju line.
Nope.
Honey Gather, literally useless. Huge Power, definitely an interesting one. Certainly in that fur coat vein, but more interesting because it's offensive.
Yeah, I would say that it goes right above fur coat, but right next to fur coat.
Yeah, this one's again tricky because if you give it to Landorus, then it goes ridiculously stupid. So maybe it should be at the top of S, but it is literally just double opponent stats, and I think we're kind of assuming that they're not that high to begin with.
Yes.
Hunger Switch is so situational. I don't think it clears the Kaiju line personally.
No, I honestly didn't know about it before today. So.
Hunger Switch? You didn't know about Morpeko?
Yeah, I didn't even know that it was that ability. I just thought that it had forms that automatically did that. I didn't really think about it. I thought that might be like an item.
Okay, right on. Next, we got Hustle here. Hustle's a very interesting debate. So it's a +1 to your attack, but -1 to your accuracy. It's similar in that vein to Guerrilla Tactics and Beast Boost in the sense that you get a +1 to your offense with a significant drawback. But boy, is that a significant drawback.
I think the drawback is the worst, and that's why I'd say it's lower in A or maybe even in B, but it's definitely in the same ballpark as those two.
Yeah, it's such a big drawback.
I personally do B.
Okay, I'll follow you there. Next is Hydration, which heals status if it's raining. Pretty damn specific. You need Weather Up, and then it's fine. If you're talking about like abusing rest, it's pretty great. Do you think it clears the Kaiju line, Finch?
Yes, barely, but yes.
Okay, we'll put it.
I'd argue we could have Hydration line. I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Hyper Cutter prevents other Pokemon from lowering attack stat. Very similar to that one we talked about earlier with Intimidate and Guard Dog. I'm thinking in that vein. Does not clear Kaiju line. Ice Body is going to gradually restore HP in a hailstorm. It's kind of like a way worse version of Dry Skin, except you don't get any immunity, and it's in hail instead of something useful like rain. So does not clear Kaiju for me. Ice Face is going to avoid damage from physical moves for 1 turn, so it's just a nerfed version of Disguise essentially.
Maybe B.
Solid. I like B. We can put it
like mid-high B.
Yeah. I think I prefer it to Flame Body. I think I prefer it to Analytic too. Ice Scales, I think there's actually not a lot to talk about here. I think it's just a special version of Fur Coat. It's really, really good.
Yes.
Illuminate is going to be useless. Illusion is a very fun one. It's going to become very relevant as we see Hisuian Zoroark introduced soon. I'm very curious to hear what you think about this one, Finch.
I would say right off the bat that in theory it's A+, but in practice it's more A.
Explain that.
So, in theory, it opens up so many builder applications that are awesome, but when you're a more experienced player, you can kind of see through it. Playing around Pokemon becomes a lot harder, but still, you almost have a sense for it, and a lot of people tend to be kind of early game centric with it, and that makes it tough. I think that if people used it better, it would almost be better, but it's just not used too well.
Yeah, it's interesting because Zoroark's such a one-note Pokemon, and I think it will be a lot more interesting with the Hisuian version. But I think I agree with you. I think I prefer it to Chlorophyll. but I think I would rather have a chilling Nay personally.
Fair. I'd say it's fair.
But I would be surprised if a year from now we see this on a way better Pokemon and we're kicking ourselves. But who knows?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being an Uber ability.
Yeah, maybe. Immunity prevents the Pokemon from getting poisoned. This is really specific in my opinion, but it is useful. Like you're immune to toxic.
I'd say it clears the Kachu line, but not by like a substantial amount.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I prefer to hydration, I guess. Can't spam rest, but it's more useful. Imposter, this is interesting because the Ditto almost doesn't matter. You can throw Imposter on a Groudon, and it's still essentially the same Pokemon. Sure, the base HP is affected, but it's just a copy Pokemon. So as good as Ditto is as good as Imposter is.
I would say
yeah, I agree. Because again, you want to be like, oh my god, it's such an interesting specific ability. It's so powerful in the right situation. But Ditto's not that relevant right now in the tier. So you can't argue it for being even A+, I would say. So I like that. Infiltrator is a very specific one. I don't think we would think as well of it at all if there wasn't so many useful situations for it coming up with Dragapult. So we are very familiar with it as a result. But I'm still thinking C+-ish. What about you?
C+ or B. If there's ever a B-, this would be perfect for it, but it's still pretty situational. So C+ is better than B.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put it... I think it clears the clear body line. Innards Out is...
Clear body, yeah.
Where is Aftermath? There we go. Same thing. Inner Focus. This is another one that's great in doubles, but flinching is really not very common in singles at all, especially in a Jirachi-less tier right now.
I
don't think so at all. I mean, if we're talking about like Gen 5 OU, maybe, or like what?
Maybe Gen 4.
Yeah, a more Jirachi-centric tier. But certainly in doubles, it's very useful. I found it interesting to hear that Dragonite prefers Inner Focus to multi-scale a lot of the time in doubles. But yeah, I don't think it clears the Kachu line either. Insomnia prevents the Pokemon from falling asleep. I don't know. It's worse than Immunity, obviously. It's also obviously worse than Comatose. Does it barely clear the Kachu line? I don't even know if I do that personally.
I don't clear the Kachu line with it.
Okay. Intimidate. Oh baby. I think this is the definition of an. Oh, you're saying S. I was gonna say an A.
I could see A+ before A.
Okay. It's very good. It's the first thing I think of when I think of Landorus Therian. So that would lend credence to your S.
It's good for pivoting because they keep that attack drop even if you switch out with your Landorus.
That's true. That's true.
You could bait an Earthquake, and then you could go to something else on another attack. Like against a Mamoswine, for example. Bait an Earthquake, then suddenly your Bulky Water could take an Ice into a ground move.
Yeah. Oh, I'm having a really hard time with this right now because I'm looking at Contrary, and I say yes. I'm also looking at Grassy Surge, and I'm going like, I like it next to both of those.
I would say a little lower. I'd say
around Weather.
I'd say below Weather.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. I think I prefer Contrary. It's such an interesting discussion, right? Because Contrary is such a personal, like it helps your Pokemon, whereas Intimidate is about controlling the opponents. So it's very different.
About the whole team. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're so different that it's hard to weigh.
It's almost apples and oranges at a point.
It completely is. It's talking about, like, you know, not to use too off-key of a metaphor, but it's like talking about who's a better football player. Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it Aaron Donald? Like, they're doing different things. Like, I have no idea.
Totally different positions, totally different schemes, everything, totally different sides of the ball.
Yeah, so we gotta do the best we can despite that. Next is Intrepid Sword. I think we've seen that it is better than its defensive counterpart, but once again, it did get nerfed pretty heavily. I think we're talking about this as an S ability, or at least an A+ ability in previous generations, but nowadays, now that it's only a one-use ability, I think it's going to clear the Kachu line pretty clearly. I'm thinking B.
I think above Dauntless Shield, we could put it right next to each other and just say screw it.
Sure. Why not? Iron Barbs is definitely one I was thinking, but I thought of like useful when I thought of C+. Like I just consistently, but it could also be solid.
I'd actually argue for if there's a B- it'd be there, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, I put it below Bulletproof personally.
Sure. I'll do that. Iron Fist, also useful. You need to have the right moves to take advantage of it, of course. Melmetal was such a good abuser of it. But I think it's also in that same range as Ferrothorn, where it's between C+ and B. I'm liking Gale Wings-ish. What about you?
Yes.
Justified next is going to raise attack when hit by a dark type move. There's a lot of dark type moves, so it's a little bit better. But
it's still pretty situational.
Still pretty damn situational. Yeah. Oh, Finch, you're killing me. I don't know if it clears Kaichu.
I think
I'd say yeah. I'd say Jinx right there. Let's go. I prefer to. No, I don't prefer to Gulp Missile. I think I go right there. It barely clears Kaichu. Keen Eye prevents other Pokemon from lowering its accuracy. Does not clear Kaichu. Klutz, Pokemon can't use any held items. We're gonna get our second Z here. Leaf Guard prevents problems with status in sunny weather. That's actually, wait, so that means you can still be status, but it doesn't affect you?
I don't actually know.
I never heard that description before. Leaf Guard prevents, oh, okay, maybe it got changed. It does just change status conditions. In Generation 4, you can still rest. I don't know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't clear Kaichu at all. I think it's D.
It's D.
Levitate is just strictly worse Earth Eater, but still having a ground type immunity is pretty damn good. You can argue in some instances it's better than Earth Eater because you are immune to things like spikes or toxic spikes, but I still prefer recovering health personally.
It's definitely A, regardless. Yeah. So, I mean, you could put it wherever you want in A.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time going over that forward. Libero did get nerfed. I think, again, we're looking at an S otherwise. This is an interesting discussion in this generation. It's obviously going to be better than color change, but I don't know if it's much, man.
I think it's like high B. If there was a B+, if we ever do that.
Yeah, it's still like, if you're using a Scarf Mon, like with Scarf Greninja, it's essentially the same thing, which is great. But obviously it's lost a lot of the defensive quality that made Libero so interesting before. You can't, Sucker Punch on a Psychic move anymore. So yeah, let's put it around Hustle then. Next we got Light Metal, does not clear the Kaichu line. Lightning Rod. This Mon kills me, man. The fact that Mega Sceptile just got like the most unnecessary ability possible kills me. But the ability itself is still very good. It is going to give you an electric immunity and up your special attack. It's pretty much an electric flash fire. So I guess we should put it right next to it. I don't know why.
I'd say we're right in the same ballpark.
Limber is going to prevent paralysis. Right? Yes. Is it clear Kaichu? I guess maybe just barely.
Barely, if even.
Worse than immunity.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, Insomnia. We could just like group Insomnia and Limber and immunity here just for simplicity's sake. Which doesn't make sense because you definitely way prefer immunity. But I'm just doing it for simplicity's sake to you, the viewer.
Yeah, I think that's fine given the premise of the list.
Lingering Aroma is going to change the attacker's ability to Lingering Aroma. Okay, so it's just Mummy. Yeah, and almost any ability, that's a pretty solid ability. You could definitely make heavy use of that on like a Corviknight or something like that. But in a regular tier, the average ability, even in OU, doesn't matter enough for that to be effective. I don't think it clears Kaichu.
I agree with that, yeah.
Liquid Ooze doesn't clear Kaichu. Talk to me about Liquid Voice, Finch. What are you thinking about that one?
So the thing about Liquid Voice is that it is kind of by definition situational, but it actually has quite a substantial bolster, in my opinion, when it comes into play, and you can kind of manipulate your sets around it. So rather than being in the C range, I'd say high B, maybe low A. I think that it's clearly above something like Imposter, which honestly, the more I think about, the more it might be even a little low itself. But I'd argue that it's above more circumstantial factorial things like Iron Barbs and Bulletproof and Berserk and Aftermath. Those things that come into play every here and there. So I'd say high B, maybe low A if we were to move things like Imposter up.
Yeah, Imposter, it's killing me because it's just Ditto. We're just ranking Ditto against abilities. A Pokemon versus like, talk about apples to oranges. But yeah, we'll keep it there for now. Long Reach moves do not create contact with the target. You know, in a Ferrothorn metagame, I could see this being more useful. We do still
Yeah, I
have
mean,
Garchomp.
because NU's never really had that, but I'd say that it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say B.
You're saying B, really? So what other ways does it come into effect other than like not proccing an Iron Barbs or a Rocky
Isn't
Helmet?
Rocky Helmet big?
Fair enough. I mean, it's pretty much a free protective pads if you phrase it like that.
Yeah, it's a free protective pads without your item slot, so you could have protective pads and choice band all at once.
Okay, you sold me.
Like
you sold me.
if you gave that to something that had the attacking prowess of Urshifu, it would be like a very good ability. But if you give that to something like Decidueye, who maybe wants to run different stats, it's less sure.
Yeah, by that argument, I think it's obviously better than Infiltrator. Is what it coming back to, but maybe we have Defiant a little bit too low because I feel like Defiant's a good ability, man.
I think Defiant and Competitive both could go above Long Reach in B, but then B gets too bloated, and then you're looking at things like Libero and Liquid Voice going to A, and then it comes a whole discussion. So I think for now we leave that just like you have it right now with those in A, and then we'll come back to it later.
Okay, I'm done for that. I can't start reshuffling now. It'll be a whole thing. We'll get into trouble. Next, we got Magic Bounce. Oh, mama.
F.
Is there any argument against S?
No.
No. The question is how high in S? I think it's in that good as gold area, but it doesn't block defog, so it's worse. But it does return status like Toxic, which is crazy. It actually returns hazards. Oh.
It's tough.
That's a tough one.
I'd put it below good as gold. I'd put it below.
Okay, I don't think this metagame shifting is good as gold, so that's the argument we'll use here. But Magic Bounce, like if I think if people know about Magic Bounce, it's actually not that effective. Whereas even if you know about good as gold, it's still super amazingly effective because you still can't defog, know about it or not. So that's fair. Magic Guard, another excellent one here. I think we're looking at A+ or S. It's not going to be quite as good as Magic Bounce in my opinion, but. I mean, it's tough because you're coming from the black and white perspective where it was godlike. So where's your head at?
So Magic Guard, in my eyes, he's always going to be above the weather abilities and corrosion because it comes into play virtually every time these Pokemon use. Entry hazards, status are staples. It nullifies things that abilities below it nullify, but combines the nullifications of different ones. In my opinion, I'd actually put it above Contrary.
I agree. Yeah, A+ seems too low to me because here's the thing that I thought of. We just gave a bunch of credit to a free protective pads on long reach. How about a free heavy duty boots, which is a way better item? So that's amazing. But you're also status immune. But you can also use a life
heavy duty boots plus Comatose plus Sheer Force. Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Half of Sheer Force. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not tempted to bump it up even more. Honestly, maybe above Adaptability.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's fair.
Next we have Magician. The Pokemon steals the held item of a Pokemon it hits with a move. So it's just a free thief, I guess. I don't know if it clears Kudchu. It maybe you can make an argument for C+, but it's in that range at best.
No, I'd actually put it right below Kudchu.
Okay.
I'd say we could have a Magician line if Kudchu didn't exist.
Magma Armor prevents the Pokemon from becoming frozen. It's so wrong for it to be C+ when something like Magician isn't. But I'm just organizing all of these alongside each other. So, I don't know. Fight me.
Yeah.
We got Magnet Pull. I think gotta be S. Gotta be high S, honestly. Because, it changes.
I think I'd put it below Desolate Land.
Yes, because it changes the way you team build. And this is where you have to factor steel types being so prevalent. Like, it just...
Yeah, like, if it was Magnet Pull but with poison types... I'd put it below Fur Coat, for example, but this is Steel types, the most prominent defensive typing in the game, and behind Water, perhaps the most prominent typing in the game. So,
and like we're not talking about this on Magnezone too, but if you give this to a Pokemon with setup moves like a Snorlax and Curse, like it's game breaking at that point. You could honestly make the argument that it's on a good Pokemon in Magnezone, but if it was on a great Pokemon, it would be game breaking. Still not as good as Dugtrio because again, as we said with Dugtrio could break the game as a Diglett. But it's huge. I'm actually not sure if I like it over Oracle Compulse, but we'll put it there for now. We got Marvel Skill next, which is ups defense, and there's a status problem, so it is just a defense guts. So I guess we'll just put it right there. I don't think that's as good as guts. Pardon me?
I think I'd put it a tad below Guts, but still very high up.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep them grouped together for simplicity's sake, but I'm leaning towards low B, but that's nitpicking, honestly. Mega Launch is a really fun one. Depends on what move selection you get, but we've seen Pokemon in almost any ability, like Hydreigon and Lucario, who have a ton of these pulse moves, become really good. It's just a 50% boost to all these crazy different things that aren't even necessarily stab. So all of a sudden, Aura Sphere is hitting like as a base 150 power move, essentially. But it's a pretty specific form of moves. So it's a difficult one to rank as results. But I'm thinking like it's in that hustle range. Where again, like we're talking about moves that give you a +1, especially to offense, with a heavy caveat. Hustle has the caveat of accuracy. Mega Launch has the caveat of a specific form of move.
I still would put it right below Hustle, just because it applies to every move, whereas this is such a small subsection of move. It arguably even approaches the kind of inconsistent realm below it, but I think it's still such a big enough bolster, and Hustle missing is a big enough deterrent that I'd say same vicinity.
Okay, I like that. Merciless.
I would push it, but
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I put both those below Libero, though, honestly.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna come back to this. I think Liquid Voice is a little high for me, but Libero being the gatekeeper for B.
I think that other things around it are low, actually. Like we're saying the same thing in different words.
Yeah. We have to reshuffle later, but let's just keep plowing through.
I do think it's B, but it's lower B. Yeah, Merciless is
everybody's first thing to think of when they think of Toxapex, of course.
I actually think it's B.
I think it's really good. Yeah, I think it's a solid ability.
I mean, I don't think it's better than Guts and Marvel Scale, but I think it's like right behind him.
Yeah.
Like I think it's same tier as Analytic.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Mimicry changes type depending on the terrain. That doesn't clear Kaiju.
No, it's also like a deterrent a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true. Minus is going to be useless. Mirror Armor is a really interesting one. Too bad we don't see it a little bit more, but it's pretty much a really good version of what we were talking about. Some of the Kaiju line. We're talking about Guard Dog and Hypercutter. It's that except much better. So like they're like it's reflecting any status producing move, and there's going to be one of those in almost every game, so it's not necessarily situational, but still like a little bit specific. So I'm thinking somewhere in the C+.
Okay.
Misty Surge, I think it's the best terrain we've seen so far. No status is really useful. It can hamper yourself, of course. If we're talking about this on a Pokemon like a toxic spreading Toxapex, it might not be as useful, but still really good. Can power up fairy moves, which is great. We can power up dragon moves, which is a little bit weird because you're presumably using this with a fairy. But I think it's really good. Sorry?
It can help with your teammates though, still.
Yeah. I think it's significantly better than these other surges, honestly. I think it's like better than Corrosion.
100%.
Would you put it in S?
I would put it in A+ above Corrosion. I actually would move Corrosion behind Drizzle and Drought, but I think that's a bigger discussion for later.
Okay. Mold Breaker is again a great example of being super useful almost any ability, but rarely do abilities matter that much in other regular formats that it matters that much. Like you can hit like a Levitate Latios. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it clears the Kaiju line for sure. I think it's like C+.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we're talking about almost the ability tier list.
It wasn't going to cut you.
No. I would never disrespect Mold Breaker like that. I don't really care about the tiering of C+ that much either, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no.
Clears Clear Medicine. Probably clears Heat Proof. Probably clears Frisk. Maybe not Anger Shot. Okay. Moody. Interesting one. It's again, it's similar to Imposter in the sense that it is the gimmick. Like when you think of it, you think of just the gimmicks of happening, like Protect and Substitute and just stalling until you hopefully get some good RNG and boost at the right time. It's so inconsistent. It's so luck based. Is the reason why we see it banned so often. It's just a dumb mechanic. But it's objectively very good.
I'd put it in game breaking because it's game breaking.
Yeah. No argument here, actually. Motor Drive is going to be same as Flash Fire, except electric moves, and it boosts your speed instead of your special attack. So let's put it right there.
I'd argue that's even better.
Yeah. This Pokemon pretty much ruined Gen 4 OU for me, man. I hate not knowing what my opponent has, and I click an electric move, and I'm like, oh, great, now I just get swept. This sucks. So, I think it's worse than Lightning Rod because I'd rather have health recovery than speed boost, but yeah. Moxie is going to slot in right alongside these guys. Multiscale is a very good one. We're a little bit biased because we see a great abuser of it in Dragonite. But for any setup sweeper, it's going to be just a massive, massive boon.
Yeah, I mean, it's superb.
Pardon me?
It's superb. It's definitely A.
Yeah. I think it's definitely A. I think I go... Do we have anything else similar to it here that I can base it off of? Not really. Let's go just fluffy-ish. Yeah. Multi-type. This is a weird one because it's just Arceus. I don't know.
I mean, Arceus is like S tier, but
it's just...
Like,
it just changes Arceus' type. You can almost make the argument it's F or an S.
I'd put it in S just because it's Arceus, and we did the same with Ditto before.
Okay, that's a fair argument. Sure. Mummy, we had a very similar one early. Didn't clear the Kachu line, lingering aroma. There it is. Mycelium Might is just slow mold breaker. I think I would put it at the bottom of C+, if Mold Breaker is just a generic C.
I'd have it clear the Kachu line, but barely.
Pardon me?
It clears the Kachu line, but barely.
Yeah, agreed. Natural Cure is a really cool one. You're essentially status immune, but you have to swap out. So I guess by that argument, it's objectively worse than something like Comatose, but it's still really, really good, being essentially status immune. So I think it's better than Flame Body, but it's in that range. Do you agree?
Yes.
Neuroforce is going to make your super effective moves more super effective, powers them up.
Ooh.
This is interesting one. I don't play enough Ubers to really be able to speak to the effect this has. It's pretty much a free expert belt. So I guess by that argument, it's better than Long Reach.
I'd say it's like B. B+, A-.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on this one, honestly, because I don't play enough Ubers to have an opinion. Sure. Neutralizing Gas. I talked about how this is like game breaking almost in the ability, but even in a regular tier, it's still really good in my opinion. It's just a better mold breaker.
Know you like it, so.
Yeah. Are you thinking A?
Yes.
Cool. We'll throw you in there. No guard. So yeah, if we're talking about accuracy boosting moves, like Compound Eyes being good, it's just a significantly better version of that.
Yeah, it's just strictly better. I'd put it a tier above that.
I agree. Yeah. So if we're talking about like maybe Victini being a tier below, this is a tier above. So somewhere in the B's. I don't want to break up these guys. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not doing too much tiering within the tiers right now.
No, yeah, at this point we're just listing.
Normalize. All the Pokemon's moves become the normal type. This is like used a lot for gimmick sets.
Z? I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it can be used, I guess.
I put it low C or like maybe D because it's as often situationally good as it is like worse than useless. So maybe like low D. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I'd put it in D or F. Move on.
Oblivious prevents it from becoming infatuated. This is the epitome of a D. It's technically not useless, but like I can't honestly think of a genuine situation where that would come up and be useful.
It'll never clear the Kachu.
Overcoat protects the Pokemon from weather damage. Doesn't clear Kachu personally. I don't care about hail or sand enough for that. Then where did we have that Charizard earlier? He was in useful, right? No, wait. Does clear Kachu? Do you remember we had him stacked, Finch?
I have no idea, honestly.
This list is getting bulky.
You're like well over 100 in, I think so.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter too much. I'm just the perfectionist in me is screaming right now.
Wait. We did Blaze. It's with the Charizard. It's in C. Look right below you by Cheek Pouch.
Oh, it didn't clear Kachu? I thought it did.
I think we got to move it above Kachu now.
I think it's got to be above Kachu for sure.
This was like early before Kachu came with Blaze. I think it's right above Kachu.
Wow, an important correction made at the last minute.
Can we pause for 1 second to state that this is going to break the YouTube all-time record for amount of kudzu mentions in a video?
Are you sure?
I am positive. In fact, I'm so positive right now. I'm going to let everyone on Twitter know we're doing a video that's going to set the kudzu
I
record.
think the average Pokemon player doesn't know what Kudzu does. I think that's a very fair statement. I think the average competitive Pokemon player doesn't know what Kudzu does, and now they're going to be so familiar with it. Own Tempo is same as Oblivious, where I guess it's better because Hurricane is a much more common move than Infatuation, but it's so specific that it's got to be like the definition of D in my opinion.
Yes.
Parental Bond, not quite game breaking, but so good. Easy S. I think it's better than almost any other offensive one we've seen before besides Huge Power.
I'd argue it's right below Huge Power, basically.
Sure, I'm good with that. I don't want to break up these guys, but yes.
Oh yeah, but right behind Loaded Trio.
Pastel Veil prevents the Pokemon and its allies from being poisoned. So I guess we'll just put it next to. Oh, I got two of these guys. That's fucked up. I'm trying to make them all unique on here. It wasn't possible sometimes. Where was the other? Right here by immunity, I guess. Perish Body. Didn't I rank this one already with the Cursed Body? Oh, Cursed Body. Well, it's objectively better than that, I guess. Although it forces yourself a swap out. But it's in that range. So yeah, we'll put it there. I think I prefer Flame Body.
Yeah, I think it's right below.
Pickpockets, does it clear Kudzu?
I'd say it is not clearing.
Okay. Pickup.
I just let the public know, by the way. We already have a like on our Kudzu record.
Wait, oh no. Oh god.
7,700 people are gonna read this and be like, what?
Anyway, already becoming a meme, I can tell. Pixelate, I think it's gonna be the best of this genre. Of
I like the genre, I'm not gonna lie, but yes, I think it's above Aerolite. But I think it's a clear couple of Magic Bounce. That goes into 0. Poison Heal is next. I'm eyeing Poison Heal. That might be S, low-key.
Oh, I think Poison Heal is an easy yes, in my opinion. We're talking about how good being a status immune is early on. We're talking about that plus a 12% healing. So now it's a free leftovers. Granted, you have to have Toxic Orb, I guess. But it's two extremely good things in one. I'm thinking it's like a round Magic Guard, personally.
Sure.
I think it's definitely worse, but it's around there. Poison Point. I have to read this one. Contact the Pokemon may poison the attacker. Oh, that's going to get relevant really soon, isn't it, with Sneasel? I think it's solid.
Yeah.
Do you want to put it in A? I don't know. I don't have an.
I think I put it in B. It's like below. I put it below Flame Body, honestly. Maybe above Flame Body.
I think I prefer No Guard. Yeah. I would be surprised if we look dumb for this one in a couple months, but that's fair. Poison Touch is the same thing, right? No, but it makes contact, so it's purely better. So they could U-turn on you and still get poisoned. So
yes, you don't have to
obviously better than Flame Body because it combines essentially Flame Body and Poison Point in a sense. So low A for me. And that makes sense because that's a huge part of Muck Galar's shit. Power Construct, same thing where it's just how good is this specific Pokemon in like multi-type. It's a really good Uber's Pokemon, so I guess V2S.
Sure.
Right? I don't know. This one irritates me, but yeah. I almost want to make a tier at the bottom that's just like, it is the Pokemon, but we can come back to that. Power of Alchemy. The Pokemon copies the ability of a defeated ally. That one's so specific, and I can think of all kinds of things being really cool, but it's objectively a worse Trace, and I don't anticipate Trace being ranked very highly. Doesn't clear cut.
I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly there, yeah.
Power Spot. Nope. Prankster. Fun one. Very, very fun one. All status moves have +1 priority. Grimmsnarl is a very specific user for HO and stuff like that, but there's lots of other examples of it being amazing, like on status moves like I'm stupid. What's the pivot move?
I know what you're saying, and I don't at the same time.
There's a pivot move that I can't remember right now that lowers the opponent's attacking stats. It's amazing. Parting Shot. Yes, a priority pivot and Parting Shot, amazing. But also priority status is also going to be amazing. So
yeah, the issue is that dark types block it.
Yes, That is crucial. So I don't think there's any argument for being A or lower. I think we're looking at least an A plus here.
Yes.
I think I prefer it to corrosion. I might prefer it to weather, honestly. I think it's in that Misty Surge zone to me.
I think it's below Misty Surge, above Drizzle Drought, and Corrosion.
I completely agree. Pressure's a very fun one, objectively. It doubles the amount of PP unused moves against you. Seems kind of meh and underwhelming, but Corbinate was such a great example for how powerful it can be last generation. If you ever find yourself in a stall war, the trainer with pressure is going to win objectively. But it's not going to be like game changing in any sense. I think this might be the epitome of a C plus, personally.
Yes, I think it clears Cudchu, but just barely.
Let's put it. Well, it's got to be above Mirror Armor because people chose it over Mirror Armor.
I'd also put it above Hydration. I bumped it up row.
I would too. I don't think it's better than Heat Proof or Frisk, but yes, I agree with that. Primordial Sea, same thing as Desolate Land except for rain. Again, I think it's objectively worse because the nature of Primordial Seas is normally going to be on water types. Bit of an assumption, but water types are going to care less about having a fire immunity than a ground or fire type is going to care about having a water immunity.
Correct. I just think that like water might be better type, but also like it has a less beneficial ability. So right by yeah.
But I would actually make the argument that fire is a better offensive type than water, and so if you're powering up one of those two types, you prefer the fire.
I'd argue there are more water type Pokemon right now, but if we're talking a brand new Pokemon, there's an equal chance it's either. So then yes. Okay.
Doesn't really matter. It's the epitome of nitpicking, but they're right next to each other. Prism Armor is just another filter. Where did we throw filter? It did clear Cudchu, I think, pretty easily.
Yes.
Oh, my brain is swimming with with abilities right now. Where is it? And this is a terrible viewing experience too, because whoever's watching this can probably see it. It's just like, Nathan, it's right to the left of Cute Charm. What are you doing?
No, you should make a tally of the amount of times you got to do that. And then Nathan owes you like a pat on the back for every time.
Oh, I don't have enough arms for those past the back. I guarantee every viewer who's made it this far in the video has had that experience 10 times.
Listen, if you guys have made it that far, you can PM me and I will let you know the next Pokemon I think will be suspected in OU. How about that?
Wow. Aggressive offer.
The Nathan premium experience.
Propeller Tail is going to ignore moves and abilities that draw in moves. This does not clear Cudchu. It's obviously what Barraskewda is known for here. I think it's the epitome of a D, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that useful. It's just
I can't think of a situation where it would come up in singles, really.
Protein is right next to Libero, of course.
Who do you think's cooler, Finch? Greninja or Cinderace? Who's more cringe?
I think that Cinderace is more cringe.
Okay, so Greninja gets the top dog there. Photosynthesis. This will be a really fun one to discuss. Weather dependent. It is just an objectively worse, maybe not objectively, but it is a slightly worse Chlorophyll in a sense. Because it just boosts one stat instead of doubling your speed, which I think is preferable. But it can also be activated with booster energy, so it's a lot more flexible, less situational for sure. And also, if your opponent comes in with Sun, you get to take that advantage of it too. And yeah, if we're talking about like, would this Pokemon here, Great Tusk, prefer Chlorophyll or Photosynthesis? It's obviously Photosynthesis because it can boost its defenses. But I think with all those caveats, it's of a kind with Chlorophyll, I guess. But that doesn't sound right to me. What do you think, Finch?
I would actually put it below Chlorophyll because it's only one stat versus two, and speed is the single most important stat.
Yeah.
You know, you could have ranges of attack where you have chances, but speed is either you're one faster, you're one slower, and that's that. So when you double your speed, you become impossible to revenge kill without priority. That goes such a long way. In addition, they both proc via Sun, and the item opportunity cost of Photosynthesis is only really worthwhile when you're boosting speed regardless. So it's just kind of like, you know, if you want to do that route, then you might as well go double your speed. So I'd put it right below it, but literally right next to each other.
Yeah, because you're trading flexibility of Photosynthesis with different abilities and different ways to activate it with just being better. Just doubling speed is just better than whatever Photosynthesis can do. So yeah, I agree with you there. It's a little bit more specific, but same vein. Psychic Surge, I think, is definitely better than Grassy Surge and Electric Surge. Blocking priority is super good. Fairy moves, or sorry, Psychic moves being boosted is really good too. A little bit biased because I think Tapu Lele is such an amazing, underrated Pokemon, but it's not as good as Misty Surge.
I'd put it right below Misty.
You think? Over Prankster? I mean, it does objectively beat Prankster, but sure.
Yeah. It wins a 1v1. That's the coin flip.
Punk Rock is going to boost sound-based moves, and I didn't know this detail. Halves damage from the same moves. Did not know that.
Me neither.
So I guess it's just an objectively better. What was the one with Klotzer? It's objectively better than Klotzer's Mega Launcher.
Mega Launcher,
helps you
yeah.
defensively. I think there's more sound-based moves personally. I could be mistaken, and there are pulse moves. So I guess it's like maybe above Liquid Voice.
I mean, Liquid Voice should probably go down, but yes.
Yeah. I think B's a bit of a dog's breakfast right now. Pure
Yeah,
Power.
I mean, there's no consistency, but it's impossible to be consistent.
Yeah. Purifying Salt is a really fun one. So this is going to have damage from ghost type moves, which is really cool, but also protect from status conditions here.
S.
You thinking S, eh?
I'm thinking F.
I was thinking A+, but I can be talked into S.
So, imagine combining Comatose with an ability that gives you the ability to resist the most common or second most common attacking type in the metagame.
Yeah. Okay, that's a pretty compelling argument right there.
That's basically two A-tier abilities in one. So I'd say low S. I think you could argue it's below Misty Surge, because Misty Surge grants you the immunity to status as well, but it trades off the ghost typing challenge for having it for your whole team. But then Purifying Salt has it that it's whenever your Pokemon is
permanent.
So it lasts more than 4 turns. So it gets into a whole rabbit hole debate. I think they're very close.
I like them being right next to each other. You're right, because it's permanent. It can't be taken by other terrains. It's not boosting the opponent's fairy type moves. It's just having ghost type on your own. And yeah, if you put it pretty much as we had Bulletproof, which is kind of like being ghost type immune, if you combine that with Comatose, that's a pretty strong argument. Next we have Quark Drive. I guess we just throw that next to Photosynthesis there. I'll put it lower just because I think Electric Surge is less common than Sun right now.
Correct.
Queenly Majesty, that's our third priority immune ability here. We'll throw it right next to it as a result. Quick Draw. Ugh. I hate this ability. It's so stupid. It just makes me mad every time it happens to me.
I tried to ban it.
I didn't know that. Okay.
There's a whole positive review fed debacle on it. They didn't let me. They let me ban Quick Claw, but not Quick Draw.
It's funny. It does clear Cudchew line, sadly.
Yeah, it actually pretty comfortably does, in my opinion. Like, I'd put it on the second line of B. Or above that rank of C+, sorry.
I could have been talked into B, but I like this too. Let's put it in, like, Compound Eyes.
Below the clear body line, though.
The old clear body line comes back when we need it the most. Quick Feet is just a speed-based Guts. Am I mistaken? Yeah, that's exactly the case.
You're mistaken about a lot of things, but not that one.
Do you know if it affects paralysis, much like Guts affects attack?
I think paralysis still leaves you slow.
Okay, so I think it's worse than Guts if that's the case.
Yeah.
And Flare Boost. Sure. Although it's the most useful typing, but whatever. Rain Dish, I don't know. It's so weather dependent, and even then it's not that good when you get it in. But I'm talking to a Gen 5 OU player, so I'm gonna leave this in your hands.
So, in Generation 5, when weather used to be permanent, it's an A ability and weather is back to S. Or S+, or whatever. But in this current landscape where weather only lasts for 4 or 7 turns if you wish to sacrifice your item slot, having a contingency plan in Rain Dish is unfortunately real unrealistic, that it leaves it closer to the Cudchew line.
You think it clears it, Finchinator?
Yes, I do.
Alright, we'll put it there.
Just barely.
I would put it below the Cudchew line, but I'll defer to you because you know way more about that. Rattled, Bug, Ghost, or Dark.
Let me ask you something. If you played 100 games of OU right now, and you could have Cudchew or Rain Dish in your Pokemon, would you rather dedicate a Pokemon that would need a berry twice, or hope you run into 10 rain teams over that span?
I would hope I run into the rain teams more, but it's more realistic. However, if I get the Cudchew off, I think it's more effective than like if I come across a rain team.
But you suddenly have to use a berry, and maybe 10% of Pokemon want to run a berry that's going to come into play twice, if even. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the Kachu line was much protect us from these arguments, Finch, not create them. Yeah, sure. I'm very close on either side, so I shouldn't be whiny about it. Rattled, bug, ghost, or dark type moves scare it and boost its speed. I guess that clears the Kachu line. Barely. I don't know.
What?
Receiver is going to inherit an ally's ability when it faints. No thanks. Reckless is going to power up moves that have recoil damage. I really love this one. I think it's probably the epitome of a B or a C+. It's in that range where it's just like very nice to have like a stronger Wild Charge or Flare Blitz.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it, but I think it has a place.
How do you like it bottom of B?
I'd say high C+ first, but yeah, that's fine.
Refrigerate. I guess ice is the best offensive type, but that you want to have stab if that's the case, and that being an ice type sucks. So I guess it's worse than galvanize.
Yeah, I mean it's still up there, but yes.
Doesn't matter too much of those two. Regenerator, that dog. Regenerator.
Yes.
I'm thinking doesn't clear Kachu. What do you think?
If you put Regenerator below Kachu right now, I will leave this record.
Where in S does it go? I'm thinking above good as gold.
I'm thinking above Parental Bond.
Okay.
You know what?
I'm in. You
So
saying
here's
above
the
ice
thing.
scales? Because that would be a hot
Earth
take.
Scales and Ice Scales give you a flat defense buffer. Regenerator doesn't buff your defense, but it gives you 33% flat back upon switching every time.
It lets you
I
access a better
think over
pivot.
the course of the game, it's always going to net out ahead. I would actually put it above Huge Power.
Wow.
But this is also the guy that uses Tornado's T 61% of the time in SSLU. So
That's really tough.
you could move it below those four. I think it's definitely above Mega Kanga, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will put it here, but I would like I think it goes below ice scales, but it's close. It's close.
That's fair.
We have difference of opinions. That's fine. We got ripen, which doubles the effect of berries.
Kachu!
This is a tough question versus Kachu. I guess it's objectively better, right?
Procking it once is easier than procking it twice. I think it clears the Kachu line.
Fuck, it does. Oh my god, that's upsetting. Rivalry deals more damage to Pokemon of the same gender, so that's a 50% chance to do more damage. I guess that's pretty good. My first instinct was it's bad, but that's pretty solid, I guess.
Does it clear the Kachu line, though?
I think it's like a solid C+.
I'm not going to say solid, but I'll give it C+.
I'd say like, oh well, it's not B. I guess the word solid is loaded when the B's here, but I'm putting it somewhere C+. RKS system, same thing as. This is where it's weird. It's literally the same thing as multi-type, but like.
Ooh. So we have
one is RCS
now. We have very conflicting precedents.
I don't care. I am making. Oh shoot! What's going on here? I'm making a new tier, which is just. Is the Pokemon. You guys can't even read it because I'm doing black. So I'm doing is the Pokemon here. That's where you go. That's where you go. I'm even gonna put Zygarde there. I'm gonna put Ditto there because Ditto is just.
How about
making
Mega
things messy.
Kanga?
No, because if you give Mega Rayquaza Imposter, it's still the same thing as a Ditto. If you give like the double hit to a Jolteon, it's a better Jolteon.
Oh, wait, your Jolteon couldn't do that, though. It doesn't have a pouch.
No, I'm not engaging in this. Rockhead, I would say like same tier as Reckless personally. Just like
I'd
different
put it right behind
flavors.
Reckless. Yeah.
Sure. Different flavors of the same
I like
thing.
damage more than I like health.
Sure. Rocky Payload, I think, is just a worse version of Dark Aura. Although even then, you can maybe say it's better than Dark Aura because it's not powering up your opponents.
Wait,
So
what ability?
Rocky Payload.
What is Rocky Payload?
It powers up rock type moves.
Okay, I didn't know that. Am I supposed to know
specific
that?
one.
Is that my job here?
No, I mean, this is a pretty low tier mon. I only know about it because I tried to make a
what
Stone Edge
Pokemon
Rocky
even is
Payload Garchomp work. Bombardier. Yeah, this is where even Finch is learning something new. That's fun.
I'm so
I think
sorry.
no, don't be sorry. See, this is like, we're getting a little bit too into it here, but we had this debate where I was talking about how I was really fascinated with almost the ability because I thought, oh, that's so cool. You give it to Glamora, and now Glamora's rock type moves are super powerful, right? That's so cool. But then you go, okay, well, then it's just a worse adaptability because it's only powering up one of those two. And you say, fair enough. But then what if you give it to a Garchomp where you don't have to take on the defensive weaknesses of your rock type, but you still take on the very good offensive stab, essentially, of a rock type?
Yeah.
So now
Kinda
Garchomp
like
has,
Rocky
it's like a
and
Terra.
Garchomp in Generation 7.
Yeah, so it's like a free Terra, but you don't take on the defensive type. So
It's like a free Z move on your Stone Edge into the flying type.
yeah, it's very similar. So I think it's a really cool ability. I wish more Pokemon got it than the Bombardier, but here we are. Rough Skin, we'll throw you next to Iron Barbs, wherever you were. There was an Iron Barbs
Okay, but
line
who
for a
goes
while.
first between Rough Skin and Iron Barbs?
Who's more cringe? I think Ferrothorn's obviously more cringe. So cringe. So I didn't even debate that personally.
All right, I could see Garchomp first. I like Garchomp.
Yeah. Well, I should imagine you like Garchomp. If you don't, we're
Yeah, I
in
mean,
trouble.
it's only an avatar.
Speaking of Garchomp, we got Sandforce next. That's a tough one to rank. I think it's definitely going to be worse than Chlorophyll.
I don't think it's close to Chlorophyll. I mean, I think that the power is so much worse than the speed. I think Sandforce really isn't very prominent in OUs anymore. I think the only other time we see it is in Black White with Excadrill, and that's only because Sand Rush is banned. I'd say it's like a C plus, C plus, C plus.
C plus.
Maybe
Yeah,
low
yeah.
B.
I kind of like it actually. I would way rather have Iron Fist. If you told me about a new Pokemon got announced and I could choose between Sandforce, Iron Fist, or Gale Wings, it's not even close.
Well, Iron Fist is dependent on its own self and move pool and move set, whereas Sandforce is dependent on another Sand Setter on its team.
Yeah. I think I put it on Quick Draw personally.
Sure. I'd put it above Quick.
Above Quick Draw? That's where I had, yeah. Next we have Sand Rush. I think we're just going to put it above Chlorophyll because I'd rather have a Sand Sweeper than a Sun Sweeper. Is that controversial? Oh, it is
I mean,
controversial.
I guess if we ignore distribution and talk in general, yes.
Yeah, I just think that by and large, Sand is a better weather in Pokemon than Sun is. But even then, I'm breaking my own argument by we're talking about current gens, so that's just faulty logic.
Here's my caveat to that. Distribution-wise, a lot of Chlorophyll users are grass types, and that complements Sun, whereas ground types share a lot of weaknesses with rock and sand.
Yeah.
But that is looking at distribution, and I think we're trying to avoid that, so this is fine.
Yeah, I guess by that argument, it is worse than Chlorophyll, so that's fair. Sand Spit is objectively worse than Sand Stream, which is coming up next. So let's do Sand Stream, I guess, and we'll throw it right by... would you say it's the best of the three weathers or the worst? I guess it's the worst because it doesn't power up your own moves. That's crazy to say.
Wait, what?
Sand Stream versus these next weathers.
Well, if you just put Sand Rush over...
I put Sand Rush below. I deferred to you.
Oh, you okay? Okay, then yes, I'm agreeing with you. I was just saying if you do one, you got to do both. But now I'm fine with it this way, because that's how I prefer.
Yeah, you
I thought that was your argument, and then I didn't see that you did that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sand Spit is so much worse, but it is still a weather spreader.
But does it clear the Kaiju line?
I think it clears Kaiju pretty easily. I'm liking it in like B, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. I was gonna say B or C plus.
Cool. Sand Veil. I have to look that one up. Boost your evasion in a sandstorm. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Garchomp had that for a while. Talking to an RNG lover here, so game breaking.
Well, if it was up to me, it'd be game breaking, but they haven't banned it last generation or two, I don't think. So
no, that's yeah. I guess we go
B.
B, yeah, it is useful. It's better than Sand Force substantially, so it's got to be at least a tier higher, I think.
Yes.
Sap Sipper, Grass Immunity. What does it do again? It boosts attack.
It's
Okay, so
attack.
it's just flash fire, except for grass instead of fire. Yeah, I'm okay with it right below flash fire. Schooling, this is the Mon. Scrappy. Scrappy's a really fun one. We've never seen it on a rapid spinner, but I think that's a really cool aspect of it. X-Cloud is the best mascot for it, though, in the sense that, you know, if it's ripping a boom burst, good luck.
It also now doesn't it ignore some other abilities too?
Oh, let's look it up. I don't know. My gut feeling right now is an A, though, like a low A.
Yeah, if there was an A-, it'd be perfect, but low A is fine.
Oh, we can use it on fighting type move. Oh, and it's unaffected by Intimidate. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So it gets an ability that's below the Kudzu line in addition. Very crucially. Yeah, I like it. I like it in A. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
What ability do you mean below the Kudzu line?
It combines with like Guard Dog or Keen Eye from below the Kudzu line.
Oh, yes. I thought we were talking about Clear Body. I was like, that's above the Kudzu line, right?
No, it's just the Intimidate immune aspect, which like Keen Eye pretty much is. Or
yeah, it's just one stat, not all stats, yes.
Screen Cleaner nullifies effects of Light Screen, Reflect, and Aura Veil. I don't actually know this one, Finch. Is it just when he swaps in? Do you know?
I've never used Screen Cleaner on my screen or in Pokemon.
Let's assume it is. On swap in, all screens are gone. In which case, that is useful?
That's like, that clears a Kudzu line if that's the case.
Yeah. Okay. Seed Sower is grassy terrain meets sand spit. So I guess I'll put it a little bit below.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a little above it, but yeah.
Okay. Works for me because it gives you leftovers. Serene Grace, another really fun one. Gonna make secondary effects twice as likely to happen. Means you can get double flinch things. It means if you had a Pokemon spanning Hurricane, that is now a 60% chance to confuse, which is really crazy. My gut is high A right now.
My gut is A+.
Really? Where would you put it? Would you put it like below Electric Surge or above?
Below.
Okay, so we're really
below
over one position.
Above the Gorilla Tactics.
You know what? When I look at Serene Grace, I do think it's a cut above some of these ones I'm looking at below, so I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Shadow Shield is just multi-skill, I believe. Yes. So we'll throw it there. There you are. I'll put you below because Dragonite is sick. Shadow Tag, game breaking.
Above Arena Trap. The
Yep.
best ability in competitive Pokemon history.
Yep, that's a pretty easy one. Sharpness, a really fun new one here. It's like a way better, I guess objectively it's like Mega Launcher, but I feel like there's way more sharp moves than there are pulse moves, right?
Yeah, it also makes Gallade cool, so it has to go high.
Yeah, that's true. Making Gallade cool, game breaking, because I didn't know it was possible.
Gallade was such a failed experiment for a couple generations. The Mega didn't even work for it.
Man, they give it inner focus, man. This is they did it so dirty. Where did I put Mega Launcher? So I think they referred to Hustle and Liquid Voice, but not Libero.
Let me tell you something. There are a lot of abilities.
Finch, we're 2/3 through at least. We're so close.
We're getting there.
We're getting. I like how you realize this at this point. I
I just scrolled down and I saw like 70 more, and I was like, "Holy!"
We got 6 more rows. That's how I'm thinking of it. That's not bad.
You're going row by row. I'm going ability by ability. I'm trying to make it to the next day.
Fair. I just hid Shed Skin by accident. Okay, so Shed Skin is just objectively worse than Natural Cure. I think it's like a tier below.
It's still good, but it's like not great.
Like maybe bottom of B.
Yeah, BB.
I definitely prefer it to Iron Fist. Sheer Force, really cool one. It's a little bit specific and you gotta have the right move for it, but it's like objectively better than Serene Grace in my opinion, which is ironic because they're actually, I guess, opposite in a way. But not much better.
I would put it below Sheer Force. I'd put it below Serene
Grace. Really?
Now, here's what I have to say.
But also think of free life orb damage.
3 life orb damage, yes, and that's great, but Serene Grace would make a ridiculous amount of Pokemon broken.
Yeah, but think about how mediocre Nidoking is besides Sheer Force, and it's made it broken. Maybe not broken, but like it's made Nidoking. Whereas Jirachi's a pretty decent abuser of Serene Grace, and it's about as good as Nidoking, I would say.
I guess it's just like, and if this doesn't convince you, then that is fine, and you can keep it as is. But let's say that I gave my Serene Grace to a water Pokemon with Scald.
Yeah, it becomes like a more guaranteed burn. But here's your fallacy, Finch. Scald already burns 100% of the time, so who cares?
Okay, keep it. Fine. You win.
Okay, so Sheer Force, their Shell Armor, protecting against critical hits. That's a D, it's Battle Armor. Then we have Shield Dust, blocks the added effects of attacks taken. So it's the anti-Serene Grace. I guess it's useful. I haven't really thought about this ability ever in my life, if I'm being honest, but that sounds pretty good to me.
Low B?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Isn't that like the ability that Rabombi has?
I think it is. I think I chose a bad mascot for it with this Dustox.
But where did we put what's the other Rabombi ability? Because we have Rabombi as a mascot.
Noted, like 2 hours in the video, that I did make all of these myself, everyone. This took me a long time, and I had to choose who I thought was like the best mascot for every one. So it's like, I don't know, is this the best? Is Skuntank a better mascot for Aftermath? I don't know, like than Garbodor.
No, Garbodor is the best.
So yeah, Shield Dust. I guess it's low B then.
Hey, can I make an interruption for 1 second to your viewers?
Yes.
So next video Nathan and I will be ranking his mascot choices for each ability. So there's gonna be a whole nother. Just kidding, I'm kidding.
It's gonna be an 8-hour video, man, because I'm gonna fight you on every one.
I do
would
it
not have been the one for Moldbreaker. It's of course Axorus. Shields down. I think it's the same as Aegislash, just is the Pokemon, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Simple, gotta be S.
I would agree, but I would put it below Contrary.
Really? That's an interesting argument. I would put above Contrary.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, let's debate it. This is what I wanted to get into, was the interesting debates here. So let's go.
Let's say that we have Superior and Swoobat as the 2 poster children that you elected as the mascots.
Yeah.
Would you rather go through sequence 1 or sequence 2? Sequence 1, you click Leaf Storm twice. You do damage of 1 Leaf Storm plus 2 Leaf Storms. You essentially do damage of 3 Leaf Storms and plus 4 special attack.
Yep.
Sequence 2, you click Calm Mind twice with Swoobat. You do not do any damage, but not only do you plus 4, you also have the plus 4 on your defense, and you have access to stored power. Where would you rather be?
I would say this, though. If we're talking about offensive Pokemon, then yes, obviously Contrary is better because you're spamming a good move and you're getting strong at the same time. When it comes to, like, if we're talking about a Pokemon with any defensive utility, like if Garganacl had Simple, it would instantly, like, in 1 turn, it is now unbreakable. Like, literally unbreakable from that one sense of the spectrum.
Well, that doesn't change much from where it is now.
Okay, but, like, fine. Let's talk about any Pokemon with Amnesia. It becomes instantly unbreakable. In 1 turn, it is, like, unkillable. So in terms of, like, we're talking about offense versus defense here in a sense. And you're right that you're getting more progress objectively with offense, but you're also the leader of Big Stall, so you should be liking Simple being more effective. I don't know. I personally think that Simple is a little bit more flexible because I'm talking about this, but Quiver Dance is ridiculous if it had a Simple boost.
So,
and you just auto win the game.
Simple is more universalized. Everything is going to get like work up, or a lot of things get Swords and Nets. Distribution to those moves is more common than distribution of, say, Leaf Storm and Overheat and Draco Meteor and Superpower. I get that. And I think because of that, I would put Simple above Contrary. But if you look at both in the vacuum, I think there's an argument either way. But I think that because of move distribution, you probably put Simple first and you're fine.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, one final thing I'll say is that when I think of like the ceiling of what Simple is capable of, and let's say that's a Quiver Dance Volcarona and like the best possible case abuser of it, like I think that's more threatening than the best possible case abuser for Contrary abuser, which let's say is I don't know, Draco Meteor, Latios. I personally think that's a little bit better in terms of ceiling. In terms of floor, we've seen the floor, which is like, I actually don't even know the name of this Pokemon, I'm embarrassed to say. Can abuse it and become relevant because it instantly becomes relevant in one turn of boosting with one Calm Mind and one Grassy Seed or whatever. Whereas contrary on like a Malamar or like another mediocre Pokemon isn't that big of a deal. It's good and it raises the floor of a otherwise mid Pokemon like Superior to very good. But I think it's got a better floor simple. It's got a better ceiling.
I think I agree with that.
All right. It's one of our only debates we've had so far. Mostly we've been agreeing way too much. This video's not controversial enough, Finch. I need you to start insulting me more like you said you would at the beginning of the video. Skill Link here is a very interesting one because it's very, very move dependent. But...
How dare you call it very interesting? It's clearly no, I'm kidding. So Skill Link is very, very, very situational, but it's also very good. So I would put it above the situational tier for sure. So above the C's, but oh god, look at our B.
B's a thick tier right now.
Wait, can you scroll down? I want to see how big our C is again. Okay.
That's
so
C+.
I think we put it in B. I think at the end of the video, we might need to cut some things a little bit up and down.
I think we're going to power through these next couple ones, and then we'll take a break, and then we maybe reorganize a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's leave it there. We got Slow Start. I think this is the epitome of the worst and useless. I would say it's even worse than Defeatist. I guess not.
Yeah, we like have like all video on the worst videos ever. The worst abilities ever, not the worst videos.
Slush Rush. Let's just throw it up here.
I'd put it below Chlorophyll, but yeah, it's not worth it.
Yep.
Okay.
Sniper.
Punchu.
That's tough because you can orient your team. It's on that Kudzu line, man. It's so close.
Ripen. Above Ripen.
Okay. Okay, I like that because I think it's easier to format a team around Sniper than it is around Kudzu. That's so close. That's so close. Scope Lens and shit like that. Snow Cloak. We're gonna throw it next to Sandvale, wherever I had that. Right there. Snow Warning. I think it's the worst weather. I think it's like honestly not even S, or sorry, A+. Although there is a new form of snow. Is Snow Warning still hail in this generation? I don't know that.
Yes.
What's the hail one called?
Is it all the same thing? Isn't it?
No, it's now snow instead of hail. This generation.
Wait. What?
Yeah.
What do you mean by? Doesn't it just boost the defense and not do damage now?
Yeah, it's been changed now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
what are you saying?
I wasn't sure if it still produced hail.
I mean, it does. Hail is just different.
Oh.
Oh, they're calling it snow now. You're saying?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We're talking the same thing.
Hail doesn't really exist anymore, but what I call hail is just snow.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so it did get a big buff. If we're talking about this, like 2 or 3 generations ago, I think it's honestly like a B. But it did get a big buff. There are better abuses of it, but I don't know. This is a really hard one to rank because again, it also depends on the rest of your team who's available in this tier. But even despite all this, I'm just going with the basic argument of ice types are bad, and this precipitates ice types. So I think maybe just throw it at the bottom of these 4 right now. There, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have Solar Power. Very interesting one. Very strong. Rumor has it that Toxapex can get O-code by Solar Power Charizard in the Sun. I saw that on Twitter from some random user the other day.
I don't know who that is. He must suck.
Probably doesn't even clear the Kudzu line. Whoever that is. I'm thinking... Oh, it's tough because it's really got strong upside, strong downsides. I'm thinking it's like... I guess it's objectively worse than Sandforce, eh? Because it has a downside that Sandforce doesn't, right?
I don't know. This is hard.
This is a tough one.
I think it's more B than anything else, but it could be C.
I think we might have to reshuffle Sandforce though, because like I think it's objectively worse than Sandforce, right?
What is Sandforce again?
Boost the power in sand, right? Or is it?
No. Where is it ranked?
It's right here. It's right next to it. If you're still in the stream, it's right to the left of it.
Oh, I'm just blanking because I'm seeing so many abilities.
There's so many. No, my vision's swimming at this point too.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that we put Sand Force in low B and keep Solar Power where it is now.
Okay, I like that.
Now, here's my one thing though. I think that we might need to create a B plus at the end of the day.
That seems likely. I agree with that.
Or a B minus. But then we've got a C plus, we might as well do B plus.
That's fair. Soul Heart, I think is gonna be, I guess, it's better than Moxie, obviously, and shit like that. But it doesn't have Unnerve. But I think I still like it just because it works on stacks to hazards and stuff. So I think I put it above as one or above.
Let's say you have a 100% Magearna that forces out your Rattata, and you fire off your 8% Heatran and Stuff Rocks. That Magearna's attack set goes up to like 600 because of that. So yes.
Yeah, I think it's the best of all of them, despite Unnerve. But Unnerve means nothing to me. Soundproof.
Oh, you don't think Unnerve clears the Kaiju line?
Have we ranked it yet? I don't think it will clearly cut you line, personally.
But no, but we can rank it right now. 26 Pokemon get it, so.
That's actually a lot. Yeah, sorry, Mewtwo. You don't clear cut Chew line. Soundproof, let's do C+.
Yeah.
Me to roar. Speed boost, I think it's an easy S.
Pause. Let's discuss where it belongs in S here. So in my opinion,
this is a good discussion here. Let's go.
Speed boost makes it so that one of the aspects of your Pokemon is no longer alienatable, abusable, and that is the object of offensive checking. So offensive checking is revenge killing. You can't be revenge killed by non-priority moves, and you can assume that most Pokemon aren't going to be taken out from priority moves at high health, barring rare exceptions. So all of a sudden, you can only be checked defensively, and when you can focus all out on breaking, like a Swords Dance Blaziken can, it makes you quite potent. So I think right off the bat, that gives you a premium over virtually all damage modifiers. The Ruin abilities, the type abilities like Aerialite. I think it's above those. I think it's even above Pixelite.
I think it easily clears that, yeah.
I think it's below everything else because everything else is like fundamentally altering the game in a totally novel way. I almost think that we could do like an S plus tier for everything above Speed Boost.
Yeah, or like an S minus. I like that. I agree. I think it essentially supersedes damage. But we can make the argument then that it's better than Orichalcum Pulse. It's kind of throwing me for a loop right now. That's what Orichalcum Pulse does, is it does damage just to such an insane extent. But then again, it's also setting the sun, which is helping the rest of your team. So I'm saying that without really having any opinion. Like I don't know what I feel about that.
I think it's fine where it is right now.
I think
also, like, if anything, it kind of is close to being in game breaking in a weird way. It broke Blaziken for 3 generations and Mega Blaziken for 2. It broke a Spathra this generation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's got enough evidence, because like Yan Mega is never going to be problematic. Blaziken last generation wasn't super problematic.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like what I'm thinking is a lot of these are like they change the ones above it, like kind of change the game. It's like what you said, where it changes your opponent has to play the game. If I see Hatterene in team preview, I'm making a mental adjustment that I have to change how I throw around Stealth Rocks or Toxic, etc. Whereas Speed Boost is just like the ultimate in a personal Pokemon's ability. It's like it just makes them, you have an essentially infinite speed stat if left unchecked. So yeah, I guess I agree. But I know we're already reshuffling. Do we want to move Parental Bond now below Speed Boost?
Yes.
I can't. Yeah, by that argument, it makes no sense. Okay. Then I still think I like it below Huge Power though.
Yes, well, I think everything above that's kind of like a uncompetitive, crazy, wild, uber broken type of zone that doesn't just fundamentally not broken, if you will.
Yeah, you're right. This is going to have to be split up into tiers at some point for sure. Because you're right. I'm already thinking that since you made this argument of like the Blaziken line now. So yeah, I think you're right. Okay, well we'll go to I lost my spot. Speed Boost Stakeout. Deals double damage to Pokemon switching in. So just a way better analytic. Jeez, I didn't know it was double damage. Shit.
Yeah, it's a victim of circumstance with distribution, but it's actually like really strong. I'd put it above any terrain because the damage modifier is better by a long shot. I actually would put it right below contrary.
Yeah, it depends who gets it. It depends who gets it.
Actually, I would actually put it in A plus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. I'm thinking below Prankster personally.
Still because of this forcing a switch, so it's
Yeah.
just so circumstantial. I think I'd put it like above the weather, but below everything. No, I think I'd switch it in Prankster personally, but I think otherwise I agree with the placement.
Yeah, it's weird because it's in the sense of it's situational in that you need a Pokemon that can force a switch.
Okay, but you also need a Prankster Pokemon that gets like screens and status and stuff. So like,
Yeah, you're right. Like the word situational is such an evil thing to introduce into this whole conversation because it's Pokemon and everything is dependent on everything.
But here's my counter to that: when we've seen like an offensive thing that's situational, defense thing that's situational in the same realm, we've almost always put the offensive Pokemon first.
Right.
So that's why I'd put Stakeout ahead of Prankster, even though they're not perfect comparisons, obviously.
That's fair. I'm sorry, I'm eating a couple of dumplings now.
It's great logic. I don't at all, but I do think my gut says Stakeout's a little better.
Okay, next up we got Stall.
Big.
S?
No, I'm thinking game breaking actually.
I'm thinking, yeah, let's just honestly just leave it there. Yeah, let's just
I'm just gonna screenshot this real quick for Twitter. Okay, cool. I don't actually know what the ability Stall does, by the way. So
the Stall is anti Prankster, which is ironic that it's Sableye here. So its moves go after all their Pokemon do. So it is arguably F or arguably Z, but instead it is game breaking.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Stalwart ignores moves and abilities that draw on moves. Okay, so just Propeller Tail. We have that in D, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Stamina is a really interesting one. I really love this ability, but it is you need a big bulky Pokemon who ideally is recovery. This one doesn't, but I think it has a lot of potential. It's kind of like a worse defensive speed boost if you think about it.
Yeah. I'd say so.
I'm thinking
can you
low A?
I'd put it in A. I'm curious how many Pokemon are in S right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22, 24.
Okay, that's a lot. I definitely think stamina is A. Yeah. I do think we have to be careful giving out S's for its worth.
I think we have to split up the S because I think we're at like, I think right now Magic Bounce and above is like, I don't want to use the word game breaking, but it's low key like it's game altering. It's changing the way you play the game. Whereas everything below is just like yes. Whereas everything below is just like excellent. It's just a very, very good ability.
Okay.
So let's do it right now. I keep saying we'll do it eventually. Let's just do it now. Add a row above. Things I'm running out of colors here, man. So I don't want it to look bad, Fitch.
I think you already look bad. I think it's downhill from here.
Damn, dude. Let's go game defining or game changing.
Game altering.
I think game changing is more catchy.
Should I come up with more synonyms?
Okay, so we will move these guys here. And it's weird because I don't think huge power and pure power and fur coat, like these four, they seem more of a kind of the S tier in the sense that it's like a personal Pokemon thing. It buffs the Pokemon, whereas everyone else in this list, like again, changes the way the game is played essentially. But it's such a good one that it needs to be in that tier, I feel like.
I'm with you there.
What's after S?
Stall.
What's stall tier?
I'm just stalled you. Or generator. What do you mean by after S?
Like it goes C, B, A, S. Like what's after that?
C, B, A, S, like S plus? I don't know.
I'm putting stall. That's too funny. Stance change, just is the Pokemon. Static, I guess we just put, would you rather have Flame Body or Static?
Flame Body. No, Static.
I think I prefer Static because it's like more, it screws up everybody. That's like the ABR theorem, isn't it? Just spread status and like you'll win in the net.
He wants to be the fish not the fish E. So basically he plays odd. So he'll use a lot of ice moves to get freezes. He'll avoid Focus Blast, but he'll use moves like Moon Blast to drop attack, and he'll try and spread paralysis to get paralysis, And it always seems like he's getting lucky when really he's just maximizing odds and playing the game with a bit more of a risk-averse way, and that's how he becomes so consistent.
It's like Murphy's Law, like as a playstyle, yeah.
Basically,
like,
he's a genius, but he's also an annoying prick.
Fair. Steadfast raises speed each time the Pokemon is flinched. This strikes me as the same as like Anchor Point, like things relying on crits, like it might come up at some point, but it's so unlikely.
Where did we put Inner Focus? Would we rather it or Inner Focus?
I prefer Steadfast.
Are you
Inner
sure?
Focus. We put Inner Focus in Situational? Oh no.
I feel like we did.
I don't want to look at this list. There's too many. My eyes are melting.
It turns out that when they make 1,000 unique Pokemon, there are a lot of abilities.
I'm moving Inner Focus down. I don't care.
Okay, fair.
Steam Engine is really interesting because, like, that's an objectively like extremely good one, but it's only ever been on a Pokemon who gets destroyed by Water type moves. So it's like, I don't know. I guess we got to put in like A+.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like this is where our logic kind of breaks, and there's not going to be one system of logic that argues everything perfectly.
Well, but here's my issue. There's never going to be a Dragon Grass Pokemon that gets Steam Engine.
No, there isn't. Like, again, so if we go back to my argument of we hear a new Pokemon's being announced and it has Steam Engine, we're not going to assume it's like, it's a Dragon type Pokemon. We're going to assume it's another Pokemon that's weak to water to balance this otherwise crazy ability. So if we just take it in a pure vacuum, then I think it's probably closer to S than anything. But like you just swap it. I
think that we have to put it in a pure vacuum given how we rated other abilities. So.
Yeah, so like it should be like, if you pair it with a Pokemon that is as weak as this Pokemon is, then you go to C+. But I think we have to put it just by our argument.
I think it goes like right below Speed Boost.
I put it below Parental. You have to be hit by a move, but it's instant.
You know what? I think actually because it has to get hit by a water move, it's actually more like A+. Like think about it like this: getting hit by a water move is less common than forcing a switch with Stakeout.
It's a fire move too. I didn't know that. I thought it was just water.
What? I'm so confused. Now, is that new?
It's not.
Why have I never seen that interaction, man? Am I just tripping?
Is this like a Streisand effect? Like I've never heard of that either. That's way better.
Dude, wait, is PS coded with that?
I don't know. That's just it. I feel like I'm tripping right now. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm just putting it like.
Delete it. Don't even add it on the list.
It should be in like is the Pokemon, honestly, but no. Steelworker is the exact same thing as Rocky Payload, except for Steel. I guess I put it below because I think Steel's a worse offensive type than Rock type is, but it's close. Right here. Then we have Steely Spirits, which is ally dependent. Then we have Stench, which is might cause the user to flinch.
Oh, that explains what I've been doing for the last 4 hours talking to you.
Whoa. Shots fired. I guess I put this in like useful, like whatever. Or situational. No, it's useful. Do you have an opinion?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I really was just waiting for you to mention the next ability, man.
Sticky Hold, like better than useless. Storm Drain.
Below the Chi, the Chen, the line.
You are falling apart. Do we need a break?
No, I'm good. What happened was my stream broke So I've been looking at all the sprites in like the corner of the screen, trying to maximize it for the last minute here. I was trying to say the name of the C plus line. I forgot the ability.
Dude, how can you forget the Kachu line? Come on.
I'm like,
How could you forget the Kachu line?
so I was here staring at my computer screen, trying to maximize it while squinting at the small sprites, and then I forgot the name, and then I just cracked up. That's basically what happened. I'm sorry.
I'm jerking your chain here. I'm trying to find Heatran right now. I'm struggling. I feel like
It's right above you. Flash
There it
fire
is.
to the
Okay,
right. My
perfect.
screen just maximized. We're good.
Okay. Strong
Your
Jaw.
beautiful face again.
Strong Jaw. I'm guessing we're at A or B. Like
I'm thinking B. I'm thinking it's like
I prefer
right
the
below
Punk
sharpness.
Rock.
I think
right?
sharpness is high.
Sharpness. Okay.
I'm thinking liquid voice is like the lowest of those four, and I think that's the right one. I think we were annoyed about liquid voice before. Now I think we're happier. I think Megalon should go
It's
above
giving
Hustle and
stab.
be with them.
Megalogic should go above Hustle. Yeah.
Yeah,
These feel all consistent now. I agree. These 5
yes,
in a row.
it's like that, like five that quartet or whatever you call it, that trio.
Boost a specific
Five-o.
type of move. Yeah.
Yeah, Fivel.
American Tail Fivel. Sturdy is useful. Suction Cup is better than useless. Super Luck is heightens the critical hit ratio of moves. Doesn't clear the Kachu line. Supreme Overlord.
Supreme Overlord is like A plus A.
It's like a situational +1. Like at best, if you're the last mon, you get like a free like choice band, whatever. But it's situational in a sense. So I think it's better than Soul Heart by that argument. Is it better than Guerrilla Tactics?
Wait. Would you think it's more likely to get a kill or be the last Pokemon alive?
Well, obviously you can be the last Pokemon alive, but you can get a kill more frequently.
All right. So
do you think it's below the Moxie and shit?
I have no clue. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's of a kind
hard,
with Guerrilla Tactics.
We're comparing things that aren't really comparable.
Yeah, no, that's the whole exercise in a nutshell. I think it's of a kind with Guerrilla Tactics, where again you have this like you have a +1 stat boost to your attack, the huge caveat, which is you're the last Pokemon. Although even then it's a gradient, unlike Guerrilla Tactics, which isn't a gradient. Because Guerrilla Tactics is restricted to one move, and you're choice locked essentially. So I don't know. I want to put it here if you're okay with that. If you want to make an argument for Moxie, that's fine by me.
Yeah, I think so.
Surge Surfer, do we put it higher or lower than Chlorophyll?
Lower.
Explain.
Well, Sun is better than Terrain. That is all.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, Weatherball.
Now, Terrain does boost your move, but then so does Sun. So it's like the only tangible difference that Terrain has is that you don't fall asleep, but also Sun in that sense is that much historically better. I guess, in my opinion, that
the only thing that I'm tripping up is just like I think it's maybe this is mistaken, but I think that you're less likely to have your weather to have your electric terrain changed or removed than you are to have your weather changed or removed.
Yeah, and also there's rising voltage.
Yeah, but there's also Weatherball, so I think they're very close. Let's not debate it too much. They're so close to each other. Swarm is just Overgrow, but for bug. Sweet Veil is useless. Oh no, it prevents itself from falling asleep. Okay, so we have to move it up to Veil. Sure, put it in the Insomnia here. Swift Swim. I am just going to. I think Chlorophyll might be objectively better in a vacuum, but I'm going to put it above just because Swift Swim is historically so good that I can't rank Chlorophyll above Swift Swim when it's been so objectively like historically better. Finch is silently fuming. Sword of Ruin is pretty much. Doesn't the math work out to be that it's a +1 essentially all the time?
Not quite. I mean, it's like it has 170 base attack if it's 125. Just like Chi Yu went from 135 to 190 something.
Right. Um, I think it's better than adaptability easily. I think it goes below
Really?
speed boost. I think so. Yeah.
How do you justify ranking it that high above Beads of Ruin out of sheer curiosity?
Oh yeah. Shit. My justification that is I ranked this about an hour and a half ago, maybe 2 hours ago.
So here's what I think. I think that adaptability is the big loser here, and we have just adjusted our standards, and we should move both Chi Yu and Chen Pao above Crawdaunt and keep them all behind Gliscor, which is Poison Heal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you called me out really well there, and I'm too embarrassed to argue with what you said. So yes. We got synchronized here. Really fun one, in the sense that like if you compare it to like Blissey, it's cool because it's a bit of like, you know, revenge, especially when paired with the Pokemon with Heal Bell. But it's worse than that you're not actually hazard immune, and you know you can get toxic by a Pokemon with a Steel typing. So
I think it's an example of a move ability, not a move. Well, maybe there's a move, but it's not a move that clears the Chud line, but barely. So yeah, just C plus is fine.
yeah. Okay. Tablet of
The
Ruin.
Chud line.
Lowers attack of all Pokemon. Have we done the other one of this one yet? No, it's Vessel of Ruin is the one I'm thinking of. Right?
No, yeah, we haven't.
Okay. Where is it? I'm dying. This is how I die. I'm dying.
I don't see it,
Pokemon.
man.
Is he not here? What's happening? He's not here. Oh no. Okay, I knew I missed a couple, so this must be the one I'm missing. Because I there's 297 abilities. This list is only 294. So this is what I'm missing. This will count for both. This
I'm
one will
putting
count
it in
A. I'm gonna argue A plus because it increases your defense by like +1 in that one category.
I'm gonna counter your argument in saying that I'm okay with A plus, but I think it goes below the terrains and Sheer Force and Syringe Race.
I agree completely. That's where I had him. So, and that's gonna count for Tablet and Vessel of Ruin because I couldn't get Tinglu in here. Tangled Feet raises evasion of Pokemon is confused. S, of course. Tangling Hair, Contact. Oh, that's like the third version of this we've seen so far.
You think they ever just want to come up with a fun new name and they just get lazy and don't do their homework?
Yeah, honestly, that seems like a good job where you just like you come up with this sweet design. So it's like, what's the ability? And you're like, I don't know. Like, let's just make another Tangling Hair shit. Like another. It's immune to hazards like the other ones. Who gives a shit? I kind of respect it. Where did I think it was in C plus actually. Shit. There's so many contact guys. Should be lower speed. I didn't put in B, did I?
Are we clearing? I guess we cleared the Kudchu.
I think so, yeah, because it lowers speed, which is like we have like all the contact ones grouped up somewhere. I know.
Oh, who knows where?
Okay, it's my static. Or break. This is like I'm just retitling this to watch us melt down for 3 hours. For context, guys, before I watched this, I saw Avatar: The Way of Water. So I've now dedicated my entire day to 2 tasks. It took a combined 6 hours. So
I worked for 8 hours earlier.
I think I can't complain. I just feel bad for Finch. You're a trooper, man.
Oh, this is hilarious. I'm having more fun with this than ever.
Oh God.
I just had someone comment on a YouTube video calling me a doofus for banning Pokemon. This is fun.
I like being I like learning new insults. That's always fun. Where is it? Oh, okay. I should go by thing here.
Think of the name of an ability and control. Oh, you can't control F them, can you?
No. And they're not even ordered alphabetically like they were before.
No, long reach is the opposite type of contact. Wait.
Did it not clear the Kaichu line? Am I crazy?
Let's look lower, man.
It's gooey. Oh, it did include the Cud Chew line. Okay.
Dude, we just got Cud chewed by ourselves.
We did. Technician, I guess it's specific, but it's so good at what it does. I have a hard time arguing. I think it's gonna be high B at minimum, but I would like to see it low A personally.
I'm gonna say something you're not gonna agree with.
Oh.
I think that Technician is better than Stamina, Neuroforce, Strappy, and Poison Touch.
No,
I mean,
you actually just lied, because I do agree with that completely.
Okay.
I was silent there because I really thought about it.
There's just so many moves. Like, it's not even situational anymore. Terrorbolt with Mold Breaker. So find the Haxorus icon.
Oh god, this is how I die.
I found it. Next to Anger. Yeah, I was pointing on my screen like.
Which design do you like better? I like the Haxorus design's pretty sick. I've always thought that.
I think Huron Black's better.
Wow. Okay.
I think we need to break them up with cloth to make it fair.
No, there's a tier gap. No. Everyone comment below on who you think's cooler, Kyurem, Black, or Haxorus. I think Haxorus clears easily.
If you get to this point, please also comment.
All 5 of you watching right now.
Cud Chew.
Wait, sorry, repeat that? I cut you off, sorry.
If you make it to this point, please also comment your thoughts on Cud Chew.
Do you clear the Cud Chew line, Pinch?
No, not at this point. When I wake up,
no.
maybe. Thermal Exchange is like B+, A-.
Can't be burned is a really big aspect of it.
Also, you get that attack boost. Helps
Yeah.
with like Vocal Run a lot.
Yeah, I guess I think I go. I think it's below Mega Launcher personally.
I'm accepting of that.
Because like I would rather have like +1 to all bite moves. Oh man, Dress
Nathan, is this
real
gonna be your longest video ever?
Oh dude, I've had streams that are like a third of this length. Dude, not even close.
I have a proposition for you.
Is this your longest? It's gotta be, right?
I'm not posting this video.
No, but like if this were your video.
Yes, by a long shot. But I have a proposition for you.
Okay.
So next time you want to do a big competitive tier list, I'd be happy to do it with you. But I think we should do it while on stream.
That's fair.
Because then there will be people that keep us sane.
I think we'd be arguing with chat and it would make us more insane.
I think it would be even better. And I think we'd probably be more sane.
I think we would be seen going crazy live and we'd be uploaded to live stream fails and then we go viral actually, so maybe that's a good thing. Thick Bat's gonna reduce the power of ice and fire moves. I think it's a really solid one. I'm thinking like B or A. We had like a precedent here with Aura Break, didn't we? So I guess it's gotta be
real. I'm thinking this is around where Zygarde is, Aura Break. So wherever you find that, just put this. It's here you found.
Yeah. I want to make sure. I mean, I actually don't know much about Aura Break. Aura Break reduces power of Dark and Fairy moves. Yeah, so it's literally the same thing, just 2 different types. I'm good with that. We've got like 30 left. Tinted Lens, I really like. I think it's super underrated. There's a bit of debate in the almost any ability community about whether a move like Adaptability is better or a move like Tinted Lens, which is just like just make yourself strong objectively and it'll always be good. Whereas Tinted Lens just kind of erases counters. I think Tinted Lens is kind of underrated by that argument. And we've seen a good abuser of it this tier. Where do you come
I'm
down
okay
on
with A or A+. I don't think it's an adaptability level. Like, you would have to be used on like a bug type or on like a steel type level.
On a dark type mon, it's obviously worse because there's so few resist to begin with. But I think it is better than Tinted Lens because they both destroy swap-ins, and Tinted Lens doesn't force a swap. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Torrents, that's a nice easy one to rank. Tough Claws, I think it's probably just I would say it's the best of these, but it's so much better than these. Like it's actually a whole tier above of the Sharpness, Strong Jaw, Punk Rock like group. I think it goes up to like Technician level, personally. Maybe above download.
I'm gonna say above.
Sorry, can you repeat that? You cut off after above.
Above download.
Yeah. Okay. So
Sorry,
perfectly
am I
agree.
cutting out a lot?
No, that was the first time. That's why I mentioned it.
The first time. So should I start cutting out now just to screw with you?
Yeah. Nathan, you're breaking up. I can't rank any more videos. Good
We
luck.
gotta cut the video. Cut the video.
And I can't record the next half later because I don't want to. Toxic Boost is the same as Guts, but it's only for poison. So I think it's just objectively worse than that. And Flare Boost. Toxic Debris is really, really freaking good, man. I think it is in the A+ or S range, personally.
Yeah.
I would put it above Corrosion.
Would you?
Yes.
I would put it above Snow Warning just to fuck with you.
God damn it. Okay. Trace is really specific. It creates so many fun interactions, like swapping in on a Landaristarian. No, that's completely false. Well, kind of. I was thinking of stealing the Levitate, but that doesn't make any sense.
Are
But
you
like
spreading false information on the internet?
swapping in on a Heatran is a better thing to say, and being immune, much like they are. I think it creates all these cool situations, but
Yeah.
it is by its very nature situational based on what your opponent is bringing. So I'm having a hard time. It's got to clear the Kachu line, but
Well, I think it actually clears the Iron Fist line.
you think it's consistently enough changing the game to...
Well, look how many great abilities are ranked above it, and imagine it being any of those. And I rest my case.
Okay. No, I like it. I think it's a really fun ability, so I like that argument. Transistor, it's going to be the same as like Rocky Payload, pretty much. Found that one quick. Truant, worse than useless. Triage. You know, it's boosting a specific type of move in a sense by giving it an extra speed tier. And it's tough because in almost any ability, it's so good. You give this to a strong Drain Punch Pokemon, and it literally becomes ban worthy, much like Iron Thorns. No, not Iron Thorns. Iron Hands. But like it's got to be a very specific type of move. So this is where we're caught. Like if you tell me for a matter of fact that it's going to be on a Pokemon with Draining Kiss or Giga Drain or Drain Punch or Leech Life, then we're talking about like above Speed Boost, frankly. But Proliferation is a thing. We've been ranking that with things like Sharpness and stuff like that. So I think I'm having a hard time putting it above. I think Poison Touch is the right spot because it's pretty specific on what moves you have.
Oh yeah, I mean that's I don't really feel strongly, honestly.
Okay. Turbo Blaze is also Mold Breaker. I think this is the worst design of the three.
Yes.
Should go there accordingly. Unaware, seen a lot of usage this generation. It was kind of I don't want to say niche, but it was on a specific type of Pokemon before. But now we've seen very new Pokemon take advantage of it in a starter like Skeletor, just automatically be very popular, but also in Dundazo, and Clodsire, of course. So I don't know. I think it's at minimum an A. What's your gut
I
telling you?
put it
Finch?
right below Woolchen and Tingwu.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Unburden. I don't know what my gut tells me on this one. I think A. It's a specific condition, but it's a condition I think almost any Pokemon can create some means of creating. Either with a seed or with a white herb or whatever. And doubling speed is really important, but it's assuming it's an offensive Pokemon. If we're talking about this on like a talk specs, it's useless. So if I hear a new Pokemon's got Unburden, my gut is, oh, that could be very good, like an A range. I'm thinking like Surge Surfer-ish, where it doubles your speed with a specific caveat.
I would put it below Surge Surfer because it does require your item slot still.
Yes, that's true. And also doesn't boost your offensive power. So let's say Photosynthesis actually is pretty good. It's better than Photosynthesis. Yeah, I like that. That worked out really nicely. Unseen Fist, I think this is a great example of a low B or C+, where it's not something that you're thinking about when you're talking about why Urshifu's so good, but not consistently, it's probably the wrong word, but oftentimes in games you're like, oh, that's a nice little thing. They can't protect and scout out what my choice banded move is here. They're forced to make a decision right away. Like it's just a little useful thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a C plus.
C plus or B minus is fine with me.
I think it's better than Infiltrator.
I put it behind Dragon Ball, but your call.
Victini, we talked about this before with accuracy moves. I think this is situational, I guess. It's literally not situational because it's always going to be boosting
your accuracy. On the wrong side of the Chud line.
The Chud line?
The Cud line. The Cud.
I'm gonna disagree with you and go just above. Ripen needs to be last. I'm gonna disagree with you there personally, just because I think it's nice to have a little boost. I'd rather have that than Kudchu. Vital Spirit means that you can't fall asleep. Unfortunately, have not ranked any ability like this before. It's the first time anybody's thought to do this. Nope, it's the most unique ability ever made. Bolt Absorb. Again, these things are kind of flying at this point. Same. I think I prefer it to Lightning Rod personally. Wandering Spirits. What was the other one called? The Mummy, right?
Yes.
Oh God, this is not what I need right now. Is looking for this.
Scroll up. No, you might want to scroll down now.
I think it's
down more. I found it. Next to Overcoat.
Yes. Good call. Okay, we're getting there, Finch. We're so close. Last row. Water Absorb. Again, these are kind of breaking themselves at this point, which is what we were hoping for. I'll put above Volt Absorb. Water Bubble. Wait, what does that do again? It doubles water type moves and halves damage from fire type attacks. It can't be burnt. I think this one's crazy good, honestly. It's banned from AA. I shouldn't keep referring to that. I said I wouldn't reference it. I think it's crazy good. Just doubling. We're talking about like how good Rocky Payload is. If it's a plus 1.5 boost, it's actually doubling it. Plus it's giving you an extra resistance. Plus it's giving you like that thermal exchange. Well, actually that's a better way to think of it. It's thermal exchange. Plus you have doubled water type attacks. So I'm thinking I can't put it above Beads of Ruin. Definitely not. I can't put it above Adapt. I think it's maybe I do. I think I put it above Sword of Ruin actually, because even if you have a water type of stab, it's unbelievably strong if it's a water stab. But if it's not, then now your water coverage moves are stronger than your stab even. Plus you have an extra fire resistance, plus you're burn immune.
I think that by nature it has to clear Purifying, and Simple and Contrary. I think Adaptability as well. I think you could even put it above Poison Heal, but yeah, it's in the right vicinity.
Okay, we're definitely agreeing then. That's great. Water Compaction is just Well-Baked Body, but for water type moves. I guess it's got to be above Lightning Rod and shit like that then.
Where's Well-Baked Body?
Coming up in 2.
Oh, well, that'll rank itself then.
Yeah. Water Veil is going to prevent you from being burned. We'll slot that alongside these other status immune guys. Weak Armor's a pretty solid one. I guess it's a worse version than that one we were talking about that's like Shell Smash, than Anger Shell. Does it clear the Anger Shell line? No. I think it's better than Pressure though. So let's put it like here-ish.
Yeah.
Well-Baked Body. We're gonna go
right next to Water Compact.
Yep. White Smoke. You can't have your attacks lowered, but prevents other Pokemon. I don't know if it's immune to webs, but I'm gonna assume it is. Does not clear it because it's cringe. Wimp Out is should go next to Emergency Exit, but it's worse because it's more cowardly. Wind's Power is a weird one. Takes no damage from wind moves. Wind moves is kind of ambiguous, but it also boosts the attack.
You know what?
Wind move.
I'm banning wind.
Okay. When?
Now.
Okay. So now it's game altering, or is it D, or is it F?
It's D.
That's pretty upsetting.
You're pretty upsetting.
We got to get out of here. Finch is lost it. He's worked a whole shift.
I don't know, man. I have never used the wind Pokemon, even not in rain, honestly.
Wind Rider takes no damage from. Oh, I misplaced that in Wind Power. So Wind Rider should be where I just put that guy.
You switched it to
Yeah, I need to switch it. Oh no, now I gotta find that piece of shit.
higher.
Yes, I see it.
I found it. Yeah.
Boost power next electric type move if when hit by a wind effect. That's pretty much the same as like that flinch shit. I'm gonna put it. It doesn't clear the Kachu line. Wonder Guard. It's weird because it's game breaking on any mon. It's not game breaking actually. I don't think it is ever gonna clear that, even if it was on a really good Pokemon. Unless it was like, you know, a Spirit Tomb. But in every other case, it's gonna be fine. I guess it's in this game altering tier, which is so good defensively.
I would put it ahead of a Desolate Land.
I think so. Zen mode is just the Pokemon, the same as your hero. Great. Okay. This is it. I'm gonna edit this after the fact and slowly scroll it. But also, Finch, I think, and I are gonna take a day and edit this and come back.
Yeah, we're gonna end golf for 24 more hours.
Yeah, this is. You guys are now 1/3 through the video. Congratulations. More good content to come. I'm starting a new channel just dedicated to this one tier list we made. I'm pretty proud of us. We made it through this whole massive adventure.
Can I interject?
Please.
I definitely sound a little delirious, but I had a lot of fun with this list. It's been pretty awesome. I hope that people use this as a resource and watch all the way through. And if you just skip to this point, then go back like an hour and a half and reflect on your life's decisions.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you just watched the last half hour, then I'm sorry that you had to watch this mayhem. But the game altering stalled here. If you're watching it this far and you're somehow not subscribed to Finch on YouTube, go give this guy a sub. He is so close to 10K. Nobody deserves it more. He literally won an award a couple days ago for being the hardest working member of the Smogon community. He deserves all the flowers and more so. And
no, I deserve all the stall.
That's true. And he proved that. If anybody wants to contest him on the hardest working member here, the only other person in the community who has an argument is me, because I also made this ridiculous video with him.
Yeah, we've monopolized the market on that, I'm afraid.
I think we've got it locked down for the next couple of years. Finch is like, you know what? I really feel good about this award. How can I make sure I win it the next year? I know you and I will make that video.
If people are still going to be watching this video into like 2026.
I'm going to cut this up into 30 different 10-minute parts and release it every day for a year. So
you should actually upload it all at once and then upload 10-minute parts and just farm views off of that.
That's good. I'm gonna split it into 300 YouTube shorts.
One of them is just gonna be us laughing at each other.
This is the worst part. If you made it 300 YouTube shorts in, I appreciate you.
If you've made it to this point, please check into your therapist's office tomorrow.
All right, last time you guys will be hearing me from this video, we got After Hours Nathan here, talked to Finch a little bit the day afterwards to look at a couple of these things, and we did end up making a few small changes. I think the only real major one we can talk about is adding a B+ tier. The way I thought of it, it just felt like this through line between all these ones at the top of B, like a very consistent thing where they all had a +1 of some kind. Not these two, I guess, but Sharpness, Strong Jaw, Mega Launcher, Hustle. They all had some sort of +1 to their offense with a specific caveat. Those caveats being you have lowered accuracy, you have to use a launcher move, you have to use a jaw move, you have to use an electric move, you have to use a rock move, you have to be statist, like things like that. You have to have a very specific caveat, but you get a huge benefit in a +1. So we thought that it really felt like a tier of their own, and these ones like Dark Aura and Steelwork and stuff like that were actually kind of low B tier. But the more I thought about that, the more I felt like that was inconsistent. They do, again, feel very of a kind with Sharpness through Dark Aura here. They all have a very similar theme, in my opinion. So we created a new B+ tier, which we added Rivalry to, by the way. I kind of talked about it before with Finch, but I just feel like it's a very, it's just a 1.25 boost to all of your offense, as long as, luck goes your way and you get someone of the opposite gender. But still, even if you averaged it out to be a plus 1.125 boost to your offense, like on average, that's still essentially a muscle band as a free item, which is pretty solid, honestly. So yes, this is, I think the major change we made is just making the whole sort of B plus tier here. A couple other small changes we made was I felt that mirror armor, I think we kind of misunderstood it. It's essentially just a better clear body. I did some testing, and even if mirror armor was on an item that isn't a flying type like Corviknight, and you go into sticky webs, for example, you at best ignore it. When the sticky web user is still in the field, it actually reflects even the sticky web's effect. So at absolute minimum, it's better than this clear body. And what I like about it is essentially the same tier as competitive and defiant here, where if your opponent lowers your stats, they're punished for it. So we moved the mirror armor up, but then we were looking at it and we realized, oh shit, if mirror armor is this high and the original position of pressure was pretty low, then why would people not just run static on Zapdos and mirror armor on Corviknight all the time, right? Not the perfect example because it depends on the specific Pokemon, and Pokemon's benefit from PP stalling more than the average bear would. But you get the idea. So we also bumped up pressure a little bit just to here. Just looking through my notes of what else I changed here. Oh yes, and speaking of that through line, I'm gonna make this change live right here. I feel like, if we're talking about how this whole B plus tier is defined by getting a +1 with a specific caveat, then it strikes me that download, which doesn't have nearly as harsh of a caveat, is vastly underrated and should be bumped up way higher, because it shouldn't be, right next to these guys. It should be a pretty solid bump up as well. Tough Claws, similarly, it doesn't get that 1.5 boost, it's a 1.3, but still such a more consistent application of it that I feel like it belongs in this realm too. I don't know, weighing the difference between Tough Claws and Levitate is so tough. That's the whole theme of this video, I guess, but that's kind of where my heart's at. I also moved up to Landorus. Finch was pretty big on it early, and I kind of pushed back, but you essentially have a +1 to your defense, which is crazy. Plus it's 6 to your opponent as you swap out. If you have somebody setting up, you can just keep sending in the Intimidate user. That's pretty crazy. It was a tough call to put it over the weather things here. We actually had to do the same with Tablet and Vessel of Ruin too, because it's very similar to Intimidate in the sense that it gives you essentially a +1 to your defense. But yeah, it's tough to put them because of the weather, because weather is essentially defining a play style. But it is specific, it is situational, whereas every single mon you can name is going to appreciate Intimidate. Every single one. It's going to make it strictly better. It's more applicable, it works in the average game, it's got 1,000 different uses. Landorus is used in every game, and Pelipper is not, which is a big, broad statement, but that's the kind of thought I came to here. I wanted to put above Misty Surge, but I just feel like Misty Surge and Purifying Salt are so similar that having that be the defining line between the two is fine by me. And then final minor change here is Magnet Pull. We put over, I just bumped it down a little bit to over Good as Gold. I feel like they're very similar in the sense of how they change the metagame. It changes how you play the game. You have to be careful with your steel types. You can't remove hazards the same way. You can set up, in theory, against certain mons. You're immune to hazards. So it's kind of a blend of giving yourself some benefit, plus changing the way the opponent plays the game pretty demonstrably. So they just, if you want to argue one's above the other, I don't really care too much, but I didn't think it made sense for Magnet Pull to be all the way up here when I think it's just very similar to Good as Gold. And, this is still essentially nitpicking where they're in the same tier. It's moving down about 5 slots, but that's how I felt about it ultimately. There are some changes I made below the Kaiju line, just a little nitpicks here and there. I'm not even gonna go through them all because I don't, again, as we said in the video, I don't think it matters too much. And a couple corrections were made as well. Like, for example, I didn't realize that Curious Medicine was a doubles only ability. So a couple minor corrections, and I ended up putting Hunger Switch in here too, just because it's such a hard thing to, would Landorus be better or worse if it had Hunger Switch? I don't know, man. Like, it's more Pico. I don't want to, it's almost just like I don't want to tier. So with all that said, I'm going to run through it after I'm done talking here for the final time. You guys have all watched more than enough of this at this point. Finch is out of here, so you guys probably don't care either. I should follow his example. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Take it easy.